Let's get into Mandalorian season 2 finale. Chapter 16, The Rescue.
Not a whole lot happened.
No, it was just a basic procedural episode. We'll get to next season, start things anew.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're obviously going to talk spoilers. So if you have not yet watched the episode and are planning to do so soon, just skip to our next segment because we are going to be talking a bunch of spoilers. We'll even be talking about more spoilers in the news section because of news that came out today.
Can't
pause this and go watch it and then come back.
Yeah, it might just be best for you just to watch the episode, come back, or else go straight to our what we watch section of the show.
We'll wait.
Yeah, we have no problem. Just press pause and come back.
Do it.
But by now, we are going to hope you left. We're going to get right into things. So, guys.
Holy shit, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And it's actually Mark Hamill.
Hey,
yes.
It's Mark
Parts of Mark Hamill.
So I owe an apology on our Thanksgiving episode. I said there would be no chance in hell that we're getting Mark Hamill on this show.
We all said it, man. Who the fuck saw that happen?
I mean, we really should have, because no one made sense.
It was the obvious choice, but
to be the Jedi that comes and saves the day, since it only takes place a few years after Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone else wouldn't have really been satisfying or made sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we should have known it was going to be him. It just seemed so unlikely. The fact that he would actually do it, that they could keep it a secret, all these other things, and they did it. They gave us a reverse Rogue One type of situation where Luke Skywalker comes in hacking and slashing and saves the day.
So when did you guys? Because I have a very vague, or not a very vague, a very specific memory of the entrance where you see the X-wing start to fly into frame and land, and it's I don't know about you guys, but I was like, could it be Luke?
I mean, at that point, it was you could basically see R2 on the top. I
didn't see R2
really?
at all.
I was kind of like, it has to be him, but can it really be him?
But once you saw the arm,
but are they really gonna have him?
Once you saw his,
gonna play him? And
once it was a green saber, I was like, all right, Mace Windu's out. It's not purple. I was like, it might be Luke. And then you see the hand, the glove on the hand.
I kept thinking Sebastian Stan. Oh man, here it is. Here's Sebastian Stan.
I thought it would be Sebastian Stan too.
I forgot they could do that with the faces, and they've already done it in Star Wars.
Yeah,
before.
It was very.
Can
good.
they do it with the faces though?
they don't do it that well, but they do it.
It's enough.
They don't do it as well as Marvel at all.
No, definitely not. And it's the same people. They just not spending.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Michael Douglas in Ant-Man looks so fucking good, and then
movie, the TV show.
I think they just spend. They spend more money working on it. I mean, it looked believable enough. I mean, it's a show. I think that it was good enough.
To me, it didn't look like Mark Hamill. Yeah, I don't think it looked like
Mark Hamill.
I mean, I thought it looked like him, but I thought it looked very
digitized.
Yeah, to me, it looked like Mark Hamill's brother.
It didn't look like the vocals synced perfectly. But I mean,
it was enough for me because I could barely
it was
hear
enough.
The screaming I was doing, and my eyes were squinting because I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
It definitely had a very similar uncanny valley that Grand Moff Tarkin had. I don't know, something with how actual humans, respond and, facial, just things that we do, little small things, details. It just kind of lost. And I think that's why it just doesn't look as good. On top of the special effects, it seems like that it was just not, that up to snuff as with Marvel. That's why it's not as
So,
believable.
what do they do moving forward? Do they keep? I mean, I assume we're gonna have to see him at least one more time for when Grogu gets back with.
I don't
Din.
even know, like, where is the show going? Like, Grogu's gone.
Yeah,
Like,
his story.
The
I
stuff
think
with Mandalorian.
I think his.
what is Mandalorian without, like, I mean, like, he's got the Darksaber now.
Yeah, that's where the
He's
show
like-
would
I think-
seem to go in season 3.
Grogu's story's
But
done
I mean,
for
like,
now.
my wife's, like, gone as a fan. No more Baby Yoda in the picture.
He's not gonna be gone completely.
No.
He needs to. He'll be
They're gonna
back
show him
eventually.
training with
Yeah.
Luke.
I think.
You know what?
So let's say they do that. How do they continue using Mark Hamill as this digital
They should,
creation?
they should make it animated. They should do an animated sideshow. I mean, kids would fucking flip shit
Go-
over animated.
Yeah, they
Baby
go
Yoda
ape shit over it.
And Luke. That's.
I think
that
he'll.
would be the play.
He'll
And Hamill
show
could
up
definitely
in-
do the voice work for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking voice actor.
I think he'll show up in the Ahsoka show because they've never met and in anything, and it would make sense for them to actually meet.
What isn't her show going to be more dealing with like the Thrawn aspect of things?
Probably, but it's still taking place around this exact time period, so it could
Yeah,
happen.
Luke
They could
Skywalker
cross
Thing,
paths.
she knows his father, Anakin, very well.
Like ultimately, they
She's-
said there's going to be some big climactic event that's combining all the shows,
Mhm.
like
It's
that
probably Thrawn, right?
Favreau and
Yeah.
Filoni are involved with. So yes, they're probably all going to connect at some point. I just don't
Yeah.
know which shows they will individually be on.
Seems like a Thanos level threat from what I've read about him.
Thrawn, yeah.
I mean, he was the
Yeah.
big
Only
expanded
if he's got
universe
ships and
villain.
Stuff, right? He's an admiral, so he's just got like Star Destroyers and shit.
And he's like a genius.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting if they all had to kind of go up against him and from like a tactical standpoint.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do it, maybe he's in the battle for Mandalore, and you bring the Mandalorians in because they want Mandalore back, and then Thrawn's there, and then that brings Ahsoka in. It's weird. It's definitely going in some strange spots.
And you can have baby Ben Solo with baby Yoda learn the Force
Fucking
together with Luke.
'Cause then maybe
Do you guys think we're getting? I've thought a lot about like where the show is gonna go, and do you guys think we're gonna get like an evil Yoda?
No, I don't
No.
think it's gonna happen.
Why? I mean, they're
Oh,
cloning.
like-
There's like
like-
cloning guy, and they like took Baby Yoda's DNA, and so I'm like, where are they going with that?
I'm
think that's
wondering
like
if that has to do with like Palpatine
Yeah.
or Snoke or
That's what I
something
was
like
thinking.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna connect the garbage movies
Yeah.
to something that doesn't suck.
I think
Interesting.
it'll connect how Palpatine cloned himself and how fucking Snoke happened, and they're gonna connect all that garbage.
I'm calling Darth Yoda.
I legitimately thought it was a reason for what's his face for Moff Gideon to try and get the Force, because he seems like such a Darth Vader stan, and he's like, I want to be a Jedi, I want to be an evil Jedi. How do I get the Force? Do I have to drink this thing's blood? Like he probably tried. Maybe he'll be the first person to gain the Force by getting blood in them or something.
but what'd you guys think of the dubstep music?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I'd love to talk about the music because there was like all sorts of music in that episode.
Yeah, I mean, Ludwig
like-
has done quite a job with the score on this show, holding his own with John Williams.
Yeah, I like the Dark Troopers have like kind of like a Daft Punk like
Yeah,
dubstep like music going
Yeah.
on every time they show up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like takes. It's kind of like yeah.
it's like the
It's
the
good.
techno
It's like-
human army.
They reminded
it,
me.
like-
Or the Bubble Bunch.
feels very different.
They reminded me so much, and there was definitely a lot of inspiration from it. The Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, like the way that they kind of came in and like their eyes like lit up, and it was very reminiscent of that. in a good
They
way.
were
It was
cool bad
cool.
guys. Them posing figures, and just the fight with Din in the one was pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then Luke
That was
obviously just destroyed them all very easily.
I loved the before you get like Luke's actual music when he takes the hood off.
Mhm.
You had like this other music that I think was original music where he like first shows up and he's got like the hood over it, and it's kind of like
Yeah, it was like the modified Mando theme, but they made it more like the Star Wars theme.
yeah, I really like that music. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I noticed it more like the second time I watched it. I was like, oh yeah, I really like this music. And then I guess you're supposed to like be guessing as to who this Jedi could be. Is why it's not his music.
I guess.
Yeah, why they didn't just do the
Yeah.
They held it until he takes the
Tatooine,
hood
like
off,
the Two
and then
Sons
they,
like theme or whatever.
and then they go to his music when he pulls the hood off.
Yeah.
So, but that was cool. I did want to talk about, and that this is gonna get into like kind of nitpicky territory.
You nitpicky? No.
Yeah, I know. This,
Lord.
I kind of don't want Jon Favreau to write like the dialogue anymore, because I find his dialogue to be like kind of Nolan-y, like a lot of exposition. Doesn't feel like real dialogue when they're talking. Thankfully, like this episode didn't have like a lot of talking, but like the talking that was there felt like over-explaining to me and not how like actual human beings would talk, which was kind of jarring coming off the episode before, which I thought the dialogue was amazing, which Jon Favreau didn't write.
Mm-hmm.
The director wrote it. It was like
Yeah,
the-
Rick.
yeah,
Rick something or other.
yeah, and so that to me was refreshing because it felt like a real conversation that people could have. Whereas going back again to like a Jon Favreau dialogue, it felt very like video gamey, exposition-y. Like I think he's a great storyteller, but like when we're getting into dialogue, maybe somebody else.
I don't think it's
tackle that.
anywhere on the level of like a Christopher Nolan. I know that like I think the scene you're talking about in particular is the one where Moff Gideon's talking to him.
I mean, that's one of the ones that stand off, but even like the Kitty Sackhoff.
The Bo-Katan
Bo-Katan,
scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like there wasn't a lot of dialogue.
Sasha
in
Banks.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha
Even-
Banks DDTing Boba
Yeah.
Fett.
Yeah.
It's a lot of shit to put into one episode, and I kind of get why they have to do that.
But just make it like, why does it have to be a 40-minute episode? Just make it an hour and make it feel like there's a real conversation going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, like the Moff Gideon was like pretty. He's like, oh, the dark saber. She can't take it because of, and it's like, here's 2 minutes of me talking about like the history of the dark saber and how it works.
It was like Ben Mendelsohn in Dark Knight Rises talking about the blank slate.
Blank slate.
Blank slate.
I've paid you a lot of money.
But what do you guys think of like the end of the whole Grogu Din saga so far?
Fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was really satisfying.
Takes
Um,
the helmet off.
Did you think the helmet coming off 2 episodes in a row was less impactful?
No, I don't.
No.
I mean,
I agree. I did not either.
Yeah.
I thought there were 2 completely different reasons. And the one
Yeah.
last week was kind of responsible for it coming off
Mhm.
this week.
and it's also like it kind of changed the blame, and not the blame, but the pointing the finger at Katie Sackhoff's character for being the fucking weird religious zealot. Now is she told Mo, but you can't take your helmet off because you're like a religious zealot. Take the fucking sword then. Like you can't take the sword unless you defeat me in battle. No one's ever gonna know. Like it was kind of funny how they did. Bill Burr was talking about how if you look at things from 2 different sides, and now he's willing to take his helmet off, but she's not willing to just accept the blade.
I also heard that contradicted one of the previous shows where she accepted the blade from
Yeah, I
somebody
read that too.
on
Her
Rebels
sister,
or Clone
I think,
Wars.
gives her the blade and she takes it, but they're saying like that could be explained because she loses the blade and has like a big downfall, and so she may think like because she didn't follow tradition that like she got fucked over, and so now she needs to do it the right way.
Gotcha. I'm sure they'll probably.
I'm sure they'll explain it. Yeah, I'm sure
Murph and I
nothing
were
gets
talking about this too. She could have been a little more clear.
Yeah,
Going into that, just a little bit more clear. Be like, look, I have to take the blade from him, otherwise it's going to be a shitstorm where I'm going to be all pouty for the rest of the episode. And I don't think she says anything else after that.
She's pissed.
She's like, yeah, that's true.
It's like
that the 2 minutes of exposition that's pretty much summed it up.
It's like, thank you, Mafia Ian. The important information.
I like that Pedro gets his staff thing back, kind of like a little Game of Thrones.
The Beskar staff, yeah.
Beskar staff, where he's kind of like, it kind of felt like a little bit like a Game of Thrones-y reference. I also felt like when he took off the helmet, I was kind of like, maybe we should have Pedro Pascal without the helmet on a little bit more, because
I feel like we're going to now. The fact
he
that
was so good in that scene.
in a row.
He was so good with the helmet off. I was like, you have your best actor, or we're like one of your best actors, and you got him underneath the helmet the entire time. It just like feels like such a waste. When he had the helmet off, I was like, holy shit! Like the emotion you could feel between him and like Baby Yoda. Yeah, he killed it.
Yeah, I mean, he had the tears going. Grogu's petting his face.
So I have.
Yeah, I noticed it changed between episodes.
There's one thing that I thought of with that scene, and just with how it ended. When in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when Angel's arc was completely done, and people just had like some sort of an uproar at that point in time. It reminds me like of this. Like the character's story is done. Like Grogu's story's done for now. And a lot of people don't want it to be done, but for story purposes, it's the best way to go.
I mean, that episode felt like a series finale to me.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's what
the fact that it didn't have the usual credits that it had, everything like that. Everything just felt like complete. Obviously, there was stuff outstanding with like the Darksaber and stuff and Mandalore, but the story that we've been watching for 2 seasons felt like it completed with that episode. So like I was waiting until today. We're doing this on the Monday after it aired to like find out what the hell was going on with the future of the show. We'll get to the Book of Boba Fett when we get to the news. But like over the weekend, with 4 of us were talking, we're like, so where's this going next?
Yeah. Yeah, if you were to tell me that like they're not doing Din anymore, I would have been fine with it. Obviously, I love Pedro Pascal and I love the character, but it seems like that story is just in a nice little package. And I really have no qualms with it. I mean, anything else we get of that character is gravy at this point. But
and to Murph's point, Grogu's not gone. Like he's gonna come back probably in a smaller role. He's not
really
gonna
the beginning of his story.
Yeah, they're gonna do more with him. They positioned him in such a way that there's gonna be more stories to tell. Might not be a Mandalorian, it might be in some other form, but it's not like the character's going away. And I thought that was really cool. How they did it.
He's gonna show up with a cute little lightsaber and start.
Yep.
Kicking some ass.
Grow a little bit because he can barely even move.
He's a young, like, 50 years old? I mean, he's a baby.
I mean, how is he going to go out and be a Jedi if he can't even fucking, like, walk?
Well, he just chokes people.
Yeah.
Sure, he'll just walk by choking people.
He's got that crib, too. He'll just get a new crib and lightsaber people from the crib.
You just see the lightsaber pop out.
It's a Darth Vader crib.
I mean, if they want to, at this point, they could do a movie 100 years in the future, and it could have, like, a young Grogu as the way to get people into the show or movie, with all new characters, with the exception of him.
Yeah, so he survived the Youngling massacre.
He did.
He has to. Like, there's no way he's dying in that.
No, I mean, so
no, it's already happened.
Or the other Youngling massacre.
And then I guess.
The other
Youngling massacre as well. Unless that's how they end the Mandalorian, is they just kill Baby Yoda.
He dies at Luke's new temple in before Force Awakens. Oh my god.
Yeah, like 5 years before Force Awakens.
I think the best thing to do with the series is never reference this new trilogy. Please.
I think they have to a point, like connect it lightly and then not speak about it. But I guess we'll see what they do.
They're not going to just not talk. Like, if they talk about the prequels as much as they do, they're going to make a way to retroactively make people happy about the majority of the sequel trilogy.
It could be like Star Wars, where it like you said, makes people feel better about the story lines that they took.
That's a good point.
In the newer movies. Kind of interesting that Mandalorian seems like it's basically, I mean, we'll see how it all plays out, but it's like the Iron Man of the MCU.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a guy in a
suit. Running shit.
A guy in a suit.
It starts this like whole Star Wars TV show empire. That's 2 now. I mean, that's a Lifetime Achievement Award and a half, I feel like.
Yeah, no, Favs has a pretty impressive career. I mean, and he has a Christmas classic. So,
that's true.
Anything else that you guys want to note that you liked or disliked about the episode? I know, JP, one thing that we talked about was that the lack of Boba Fett for the majority of the episode. But we'll get into his future in our next segment.
That almost broke my damn heart. And then completely redeemed themselves.
The only thing I'd say is I noticed they took great pains to explain to us that the Dark Troopers are like completely robotic and that there's no human element involved.
Yeah, I could tell. Like,
when Luke like completely obliterates them, no one's like, "Oh my God, Luke's a murderer."
I did like. But like, it was pretty clear, even in like the episode a few weeks ago, that it was a straight up droid.
I mean, they have a techno theme song. They can't possibly.
Exactly.
One other thing I just wanted to bring up, I did really like, even though it was short, the fight with Moff Gideon and Din. That was really good. I thought that was a cool way to do it. Giancarlo Esposito's so good. Like, he just kills it and everything.
How Moff Gideon was going to kill himself, and then Cara Dune stops him. Yeah, that was an interesting touch.
Mm-hmm.
I love when he's got the spear to his neck and he just says, "You're gonna spare my life." That's interesting. I thought that was a really cool kind of just reaction to that.
Mm-hmm.
It really shows that he's this calm, cool, collected, evil dude.
Fucking Gus Fring in space.
It really is. And he's like, "You should know that everything that you do, I know about in advance. You should assume that I know everything." And I was like, "Oh shit, where's your space chicken joint? Where's your space meth?"
Yeah, I hope
he really is exactly that.
I hope he's a reoccurring character. I hope he comes back because he was fantastic.
Yeah, he's not done.
Yeah, he's already said that he's in like, I think at least 2 more seasons.
Yeah,
what
good.
He said.
Yeah, I have to assume he'll be part of that whole climactic thing that plays out. But all right, let's get on to the show, and we'll talk about Boba Fett in a little bit. Welcome to Live Breathe Film. This is episode 26. You're here with Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph. Thanks as always for joining us. Our main topic today is the best TV shows of 2020. We'll get to film in a couple weeks. However, before we get to that, let's run through some news and what we watched over this past week. All right. As we mentioned, when talking about The Mandalorian, there was some additional stuff that we want to highlight separately in news because there was a post-credits stinger, but we didn't find out exactly what it meant until today when Jon Favreau went on Good Morning America, and then all the Star Wars social media accounts started posting about what the Book of Boba Fett is. So what it is a new series that will be airing in December 2021. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Robert Rodriguez will be executive producing it. It will be starring Tamora Morrison, and you guys know the co-star?
No, but did you know
She's
she's
from
almost
Agents of
60
S.H.I.E.L.D.
years old?
Yeah,
really?
that's
Who's
Yeah.
60?
The
Morrison?
the woman that plays
She's 60?
almost 60. I
That's
think
definitely
she's
Oh, yeah.
60.
Yeah, Fennec Shand is the character.
That's fucking crazy.
She was from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think she does.
Ming Na Wen.
Yeah,
Wow, yeah, she's 57. Holy crap.
She does,
she ages well.
I think she does like a lot of those stunts too, like herself, like because she was doing like all like all those kicks and everything. Like she did that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. So
Damn. But yeah, it's going to be its own series, premiering next December. Not sure if it's limited or not. They did not indicate that it was, but right now it's in production, and then The Mandalorian season 3 is in pre-production. So I would have to imagine that show will air in early. The Mandalorian season 3 will air in early 2022. But yeah, how cool was that post-credit scene? I mean, the moment it showed Jabba's palace, I was like, oh shit, this is going to be awesome. And they made it look exactly like it did back in 1983, with a lot of the characters that were in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I actually spoiled it for myself because you said to keep watching till the end of the credits, and I was looking at the credits and I saw it was a stunt casting for Bib Fortuna.
Oh no!
How I heard that name, so I look it up on my phone. And I was like, he wasn't in the episode. And then I said, wait, and then it started with Jabba's palace, and I was like, holy shit.
He didn't have much to do. He was
Fat tuna. Everyone's getting fat in the old Star Wars. It's great.
yeah. He gained some weight and quickly got shot. But yeah, that was really cool.
They didn't give Boba a single line of dialogue in that. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he went back to the Boba of old.
Yeah, it's just all business.
I should also note that this past week, Jeremy Bulloch, who played Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, passed away. So what a unfortunate week for this to happen. But noting that, do you notice like how much different a presence Tamara Morrison has than Jeremy Bulloch and the old ones? Just like the way his posture is and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's two completely different characters, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Boba from the original trilogy is very stoic, stands there, and is always watching. And Tamura's got that gut, but he's got that like chest out posture that's just like
he's imposing.
Near me, and
he's
I'm
very
beat the
imposing.
living shit out of
He's got like that fucking dress, like he's David Rose on Schitt's Creek.
The robes.
He's got like the dad bod robe. Yeah.
Like just something, I don't know. There's something just looks a little different with this version of Boba Fett.
It's the way the helmet sits too. The helmet's a lot closer down to the shoulder.
The color scheme seems slightly off too.
They got they darkened the colors a little bit for this one. The undersuit, and the undersuit really plays that too. So in like the original trilogy, he wears that light gray undersuit, and that sort of changes the color of the armor visually when you put the two together as well.
They have to fix that, in my opinion.
I'm really digging this one now, and I've been such a Boba fanboy from the beginning, and it's just I like this now. It's darker. I think it's got a cooler feel to it now. I just can't help it when I watch that and I see him. I'm just like, oh fuck, like this guy means business.
It reminds me a lot of like a Ronin from like feudal Japan, where they have like the robes and obviously not the straw hat, but like that's kind of the look. He's like a traveling like, warrior. It's
got that Maori feel to it because Tamura's got that, he's New Zealand. He's got, I'm pretty sure, a Maori ancestry of sorts. They definitely went like Pacific Islander with it a little bit. And I think that's awesome because it pays tribute to the man that's under the mask. and I think it's just a badass feel.
And I assume that Robert Rodriguez will be directing at least one episode of this, I would hope.
I wouldn't be surprised if he directs the premiere episode.
Yeah.
So he's like the main guy on this, right? And Filoni and Favreau are sort of just producing this
They're-
as well.
I mean, the way it listed the names was Favreau, Filoni, and Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
So I'm not sure. I know with Ahsoka, it's Filoni, Favreau, and then Rangers is Favreau, Filoni. So I'm not 100% sure, but I imagine Rodriguez will have a lot to do.
Yeah.
With this
and
one.
he was just a fill-in for one of the episodes, right? And that was the episode that Boba.
Yeah, I believe you said that last week.
Yeah. That's
but it
pretty
worked out.
fortuitous. Yeah, that he got onto this.
Yeah, not a bad guy to have to fill in.
No,
he's
not at
really
all.
he's pretty good at doing low budget action movies. So like doing what he can do on a TV show is good for them to have.
So here's the real question: Can we get Danny Trejo in space, please? Can we?
That would be amazing.
I feel like it's only a matter of time.
Because I need that.
Yeah, I mean, we might be getting a lot of the Robert Rodriguez regulars.
Yeah.
We got the Spy Kids in there, and the whole gang.
Girl and,
Yeah, I know they're doing a sequel to that soon.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's
too
any.
big to be in that.
What a
Taylor
shame.
Lautner would not reprise his role as Shark Boy. unfortunately,
Damn.
for that.
Lava Girl came back though, right?
She did, yes.
That's good. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add in regards to the Book of Boba Fett?
I have no idea where it's gonna go. Is he gonna be a
Yeah.
space gangster? Because he's not like a
Seems-
reformed man. It doesn't seem like he's
No.
suddenly a good guy.
He seemed kind of like he was. I mean, that was like a
You
cool way to end it, where he just like sits on like the throne in the throne room and is like, "This is my kingdom now."
Yeah.
Can we please get more Timothy Olyphant on the show?
I think he'll be back. Yeah.
Deal
Eventually.
Maybe
with
it's
deal with him getting like wanting to get revenge for him having his armor for like 5 years
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
or
just
however long that he had it.
snaps Timothy Oliphant's neck. Because that
Oh.
Boba Fett would destroy
Cobb Vanth.
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
Cobb Vanth
Yeah, I
has a
mean,
chance.
It's really the armor that makes the man. Because I mean, he didn't go after Cobb Vanth because he didn't have the armor. So
Yeah.
I don't know though, because like Boba Fett with that stick was doing some horrible things to those stormtroopers.
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
It could
But-
be fun. It could be a fun little thing. They should probably bring him back if they can.
I mean, he's on Tatooine, so
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty cool. All right, yeah, and I guess we should have realized that it's his own thing because the Mandalorian goes in chapters, which chapters are part of a book. So
Mhm.
like the Book of Boba Fett is its own thing.
Didn't even.
So we
Didn't even think
probably
about
should
that.
have thought about that
Yeah.
in regards to it being different from the Mandalorian.
I was thinking about that though. I kind of felt like to me like someone dropped the ball. Like they should have made it a little clearer.
It was
Yeah,
when
confusing
they,
at
like,
first.
coming in December, like someone, I don't know if like they didn't at the time know that
It
the
was as
dates lined up.
Yeah, I mean, it was as confusing as it was because they said the Mandalorian season 3 would be coming Christmas of 2021, just last
Mhm.
week. But they
Yeah.
did that as a way to keep this a secret.
Yeah.
Um,
Which makes sense.
Way to go, Disney! Not,
Yeah, that was
not
good.
Spoiling those, not spoiling that at the investors meeting. That was.
yeah, I mean, they've been keeping things a secret with this show since the beginning. I mean, they kept Baby Yoda on lock. Didn't make merch or anything like that until after the episode aired.
That must have hurt them so bad.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Last Christmas,
Flipped their
for
bottom
sure.
line in 2020 or 2019.
Just like we could be making so much money right now. We could be
But
making
having-
so much money right now.
Having those screens in the background where they can just film inside, I'm sure is like
Mm-hmm.
helping out so much for keeping
Yeah,
secrets.
definitely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially
But,
with Mark Hamill's performance. I mean, like, it's crazy that he said on Twitter it was over a year that he's been keeping this a secret.
Wow.
I also
Yeah,
liked.
so I mean, when he was talking when doing press for Rise of Skywalker, and he was saying like, "I'm done."
Yeah,
He had known
knew.
at that point that he was a part of Mandalorian season 2.
He one last thing I want to say. He I don't know if you guys saw his Twitter post. It was right after, I guess, Mando aired, maybe like 10, I don't know. Like it was right in the morning. And he posted on Twitter, "Anyone see anything good on TV today?" Question mark.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
You cheeky little bastard.
yeah. I think we all understood what TV show he was talking about.
Yeah, it was like at some point in like early morning or the afternoon, I saw it and I was like, "Wow, cheeky bastard."
Yeah, I'm sure he had to be like dying keeping that secret.
Yeah,
So he was
absolutely.
happy that it's out there.
And then since I did mention Jeremy Bullock passing away, I should also mention David Prowse, who played Darth Vader in the original trilogy. He also passed away 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which sucks as well. There's been a lot of unfortunate passings in the Star Wars, like the original trilogy, over the past 4 years. I mean, we've lost Chewbacca, R2, Leia, Darth Vader, Boba Fett, just all since 2016. So it's really going in. It's the new generation now of Star Wars. The only consistent people are really Luke Skywalker and C-3PO. I mean, I have to imagine C-3PO will eventually be involved in these TV shows as well.
Yeah, at some point.
Well, yeah. Yes, R2's on it, but the original R2 passed away 4 years ago. Anthony Daniels will still absolutely play C-3PO if they want him to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So outside of Star Wars news, we haven't talked about box office in a while, but Wonder Woman. Yeah, I mean it's depressing. So,
it's so depressing.
Wonder Woman 1984 debuted overseas over this past weekend. Had an $18.8 million opening weekend in China and a $38.5 million overseas gross overall. This is in comparison to Wonder Woman back in 2017, opening to $38 million in China, gross $90 million total. This one will be lucky to make half that in China, based on its opening weekend. So obviously another rough going for box office, but what I'm really interested in is seeing how it does this coming weekend in North America.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Christmas Day is one of the biggest days of the year in regards to box office to open a movie. So, but the fact that it's opening, that it's going to be on HBO Max at the same time, and the fact that the pandemic is doing lots of damage right now, I can't imagine it grossing more than, I don't know, 20. Yeah, probably like more than 20 million total over its opening weekend in America, and the first one opened to 100 million.
Yeah,
and it's safe to say this movie probably cost like close to, if not over 200 million, right, to make.
Yeah, I mean that's
with
usual
marketing,
our usual number nowadays with major movies like this.
God, that's
superhero movies. Yeah, the budget was 200 million.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big blow. I mean, it's crazy for a movie of this size, you know.
Yeah, I mean the Croods 2 opened with 9.3 million over Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 million is going to be my guess. Between 15 and 20 million for this one.
I think the Croods 2 makes more than $9 million outside of a pandemic.
I think the first one opened to like 30 million.
Yeah, I think it would.
Maybe even 40 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's obviously going to be handicapped for so many different reasons. I'm really interested to see it. We're not going to know exactly how much HBO Max does damage to it. Just because streaming numbers are difficult to compare to people actually going and paying for a movie ticket, and then the fact that all these streaming companies are very fucking hold things like close to the
they're tight-lipped.
vest with what things mean. Like fucking Netflix with their 90 million people watch the first 2 minutes of this movie. Like what does that mean? Like that means nothing.
Where it's
like
like
when you scrolled
you
over the
sat
top
too
of
long
it.
on it.
Yeah.
Like I want to know who actually watches a movie over the first 7 days, like the entire movie. That is comparable. But even that's not fully comparable because watching something at your home is not going to be the same as going to a movie theater and paying to see something. It's two very different things.
Around here?
Yeah, it's also free. So
Yes, theaters are open in New Jersey still.
Might go see Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I
Watch it
mean,
on Christmas Day.
it's going to be playing so many times a day since there's only so much playing in movie theaters. I mean, I think this weekend it'll be Wonder Woman and
Is Mank still in theaters?
No, that's just like all on Netflix at this point.
No, okay.
News of the World with Tom Hanks opens on Christmas Day, and Promising Young Woman with Carey Mulligan opens on Christmas Day. So like those three are probably gonna be the only things that are really playing in a movie theater. I mean, The Croods 2 is already on video on demand. And that was, or I think still is the #1 movie in America. But yeah, there are only so many movies people are going to see. But yeah, we'll definitely talk more next week, both about our opinions on the film and how it did at the box office. And hopefully by next Monday, Warner Media will throw out some numbers in regards to how it performed on streaming, despite the fact that they're going to be probably ridiculous numbers that only tell us so much information.
Literally everyone that owns HBO Max watched it. Fuck you. You can't prove us otherwise. #1 in the country.
I mean, if they get people to actually realize they have HBO Max and like start activating it and things like that, that's a win for them. We should probably note that HBO Max is now on Roku, so it is on every single platform at this point.
It's on PlayStation.
It's on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4. It's on
also
Xbox
on Fire
One.
TV, which I had no idea.
Yeah, it's been on Fire TV.
If it's on PlayStation, it's probably on Xbox.
In the last couple of weeks to get on as many platforms because they were pretty limited up until very recently. And then
I mean, it wasn't. Yeah. I mean, the only things that they were on right when they debuted was PS4 and I guess Google. Were really like the only things. So.
But like I was looking even a couple weeks ago to be like, how many people are even going to be able to watch Wonder Woman? There's still a lot of like devices that they weren't on, and I was like, that seems like a problem to me. And then it seems in these last couple of weeks, it seems like they probably like whatever hardball they were trying to play, they were probably like, we just whatever we need to do to get on these streamers, get on these devices. Like as many people that need to see Wonder Woman as possible.
Hulu probably got paid this weekend because they were the last holdout. Or not, what the fuck am I talking about? Hulu.
Roku. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure Roku and Google probably did pretty well, or Roku and Amazon. But
you could invest it in like a product that's not bad because I don't get Rokus at all.
I mean, they're like Apple TV essentially, right?
It's really bad. The couple that I've used are just like
the interface is not good.
It's clunky and it's just
Really the only thing it's not on at this point are like a lot of different actual smart TVs. It's on all because it's exclusive to Samsung. So I'm sure they'll try to get out of that deal in the as soon as they possibly can, because they're missing out on a major market. Because everyone hates when they have to add another device to their TV or anything like that. Like they just want to be able to watch it. Like on my LG TV, every single app, with the exception of Apple and HBO Max, is available, and it's so convenient. But I think if I had a newer LG TV, I'd be able to watch like Apple. So
Yeah, I've got a new TV and it's got Apple. But
it does.
Still,
Nice.
still no HBO Max, obviously, because of that exclusive deal.
Yeah, I haven't checked.
That's the only
mine.
annoying thing. They're like the fact that you can watch Apple, but I can't. Is annoying because I only got my LG TV maybe 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Like, there's no reason why my fucking TV can't have it and yours can. Like, fuck that. That's stupid. They just want us to pay more money, buy new TVs, and that's going to be annoying for the next. I never used to have to buy new TVs, but now it feels like every 5 years or so. It's
To
like
get that
necessary.
new app.
Yeah.
TVs aren't really as expensive as they used to be, though,
which is definitely a good thing.
It depends on what you want. Yeah, but yeah, for the most
even
part.
then, though, like when I was buying my first HD flat screen TV, it was like $2,000 to get something that's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And now you can pop out, and I mean, you can get a 4K TV for like $400, $500. It's not gonna be great, but
Dude, I remember when I got my first flat screen TV, it was like a 17-inch one. It was like $600 back in like 2004.
I got a floor model Sony. I got a nice little deal taken off of that at a now defunct store. So
it's wild. All right, let's move on then to what we watched over this past week. Before we get to our feature presentation. All right, Corey, you went in holiday mode this week.
Yeah, I went down the rabbit hole of Santa Claus after our conversation last week.
So you watched Santa Claus 3?
I watched all of them. I watched Santa Claus 1, 2, and 3 back to back.
Okay, gotcha. All on Disney Plus.
The Escape Clause, I believe. Right?
Yeah, that's the third one.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
So,
how was that one?
Fucking horrendous. It is so bad.
Right?
Yeah, Martin Short plays Jack Frost. It is so unbelievably bad. So it obviously continues the story, from the past two. But like a lot of the characters or actors return, but like the story's it's so weird. They actually have it reminded me of Endgame. It has like a time heist section in it where Jack Frost somehow convinces Tim Allen to say that he doesn't want to be Santa Claus anymore, basically, and he's got like one of his globes in his hand, so it changes everything. And they go back in time to when Santa Claus falls off the roof and when Tim Allen kills Santa. And when he falls off and dies, they're like fighting on the front lawn, and Jack Frost takes the jacket and becomes, I almost said Superman, becomes Santa Claus. That would make the movie a lot better. Becomes Santa Claus for like the last maybe like half hour of the movie. And
does it have like the Tim Allen of 1994? Like,
yeah, so like
watching and like what the heck's going on here?
Yeah, and then at the end, Tim Allen somehow like gets him. He records him saying the same thing, like I don't want to be Santa or something like that. And then it reverses it again, and then he has to get the jacket back. And they like intercut like scenes from the original in there, and that was the only thing I was like, wow, that's actually kind of cool, but. The whole movie is just a dumpster fire, and Martin Short is like horrifying in the movie. He's not even bad.
He's not horrifying.
He's Martin Short level of comedy, but he looks horrifying. And there's one point where he looks like Santa Claus because it's supposed to take place like 12 years after in the alternate timeline where he's Santa Claus. And he looks even more terrifying. And he turns...
Does he look like Jiminy Glick?
Kind of. But he turns the North Pole into a resort, like Disney World.
Would a better comparison be Back to the Future Part 2?
I suppose.
That's exactly what this plot line
yeah.
like.
I mean, there's similarities both ways. I immediately thought of Endgame, but yeah, I guess Back to the Future also. Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
pretty-
It's
I'm looking at its nominations back in the day. Got a lot of Razzie nominations.
Ooh.
Worst
It is.
actor, worst supporting actor, worst prequel or sequel, worst screen couple, worst excuse for family entertainment. So
the second one isn't really good either, but that one,
yeah, I remember that one being pretty bad.
yeah, that one, the original's still great, even though it is incredibly depressing at times. It's a very, very depressing film, for the most part. And he definitely should have gotten arrested for killing Santa. But
Yeah, well, he disappears, so you can't really arrest someone for.
yeah,
He killed him.
He hid the body.
he hid the body. But yeah, Santa Claus 3 is it might actually be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's definitely like in the list. It cracked
So
the
you
list.
can find it on Disney Plus, and
Hell yeah.
If you want to watch a horrendous movie, not only a Christmas movie, there you go. Santa Claus 3. We'll never get that
Don't watch
hour and a half
Mando.
back.
Watch Santa Claus 3.
I cleanse my
All right.
palate with Jingle All the Way after. So,
there you go. All right, Doug, you want to go?
Sure. I watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on Netflix, the new release. There's a lot of people, as you all know, it's Chadwick Boseman's last film performance. And this was not.
Does he live up to the hype?
Yeah, I mean, they gave him a role that was super meaty. He has a lot of really dramatic moments. There's a lot of like storytelling that's emotional, and it felt like Ma Rainey felt like a vehicle to get Chadwick Boseman that posthumous Oscar. It felt very Oscar. Viola Davis is also pretty great, but they didn't give her the role that they gave Chadwick Boseman as Levy in this movie, and so Chadwick Boseman's definitely going to get nominated for this performance, and he may very well win it based on that performance. He was awesome. I haven't seen, what is it, Get On Up?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie. I heard he's amazing in that as well. But this was definitely a great final performance from him. And just like, I was trying to think about this movie in general, like what I would compare it to. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like a Reservoir Dogs in some respects, like a Tarantino movie almost, because
It's all
the
in one location.
yeah, the entire movie, it's based on a play. The entire movie takes place. It's Ma Rainey is going to a recording studio to record like a album at the recording studio, and the entire movie is just like these people at the recording studio, and it's like you've got the band downstairs and they're talking. Everyone's black, so they're all talking and telling stories, and it's all very like character heavy, I would say. And then you've got Ma Rainey, who's the lead singer, and it's all just talking in one location, which I didn't expect from the trailer. The trailer made it. I don't know. For some reason, I thought the trailer there would be like more than that, but I love that stuff. I love just like seeing characters talk and tell stories and interact. My wife, on the other hand, was like, nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, what was the point of this? I was like, there wasn't a point. I mean, there was a point, but it was just like, the story's told through the characters. It's not like action or
Yeah.
Nothing actually like happens other than these characters coming together and talking, and so
I saw the pianist in the movie won Best Supporting Actor at the L.A. Film Critics.
he's really good. I mean, all the
Awards.
acting is incredible. I mean, all those guys that are in the band all kill it, but like Chadwick Boseman's the standout for sure.
Yeah.
And that part of that had to do with the role they gave him, and part of it had to do with the fact that he just kills it. He's super skinny in the role, which you could tell from the trailer. Which I'm guessing is because he was pretty sick at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he's almost like, it doesn't feel like T'Challa is there. It feels like this character. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. I would check it out. It's on Netflix. Pretty short watch at 90 minutes.
Oh.
It's like comedy length.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think it's because
since it's a play, I mean,
you're
gonna take the script from the play, and if it's all in one location, pretty much.
Yeah, for one location, the characters just talking the entire time. I thought it was the perfect length.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely plan on checking it out over the next 2 weeks.
Cool.
All right. JP, you just started watching Titans on HBO Max.
I had something completely different in here, and then I got wrapped up in Titans today. I think I'm 7 episodes in so far, and I honestly didn't expect to like it as much as I do. I expected a bit of a cringe fest walking in, because it looks super dark and dreary and mature themed, and there's a whole lot of stuff that I saw that I just wasn't super into. And when I saw it was on HBO Max, which I found out that I could get HBO Max on my TV today, I said, "Fuck it, give it a shot." And it feels really, really good. It feels like they're building a nice little universe. I think there's 2 seasons of it so far, and I'm really excited to see how the universe expands over these next season and a half, I guess, that I have left. All the characters are really well done. The special effects are a little cheesy, but I think it works to a degree. They have, when they're fighting, they have blood sprays coming out of people that look so fucking fake, but then you think
at least it's blood.
Yeah, and it's comic booky too at the end of the day. It's pretty graphic though. There are some really violent scenes. Robin is just like a fucking masochist. There's one scene in the first episode where he breaks a car window to get after these bad guys, and the guy's beating him up in the car, and then he pulls his head and pushes his head on the broken car window and gives him a nice run back and forth a couple times.
Ooh.
And that was really, I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Which Robin is it?
It's Dick Grayson, but little spoiler alert, there's Jason Todd comes in too.
Yeah.
Within the first 7 episodes of the first season. So they do a really faithful job of keeping the characters kind of the same. And Jason Todd's a completely unlikable piece of shit too. So they did really good there.
What about Batman? Is he mentioned?
They mentioned him a lot.
Yeah.
And they cast someone to play the back of his head in a couple scenes and a voice here and there. But I know that he does get an actor somewhere down the line. I think it's season 2. They show Bruce. I highly doubt they show Batman at all. I think it's like the first, second, or third line Robin says is "fuck Batman" in the first episode. So there's some bad blood there. It's neat. There's this whole weird universe, and it's not sort of like Gotham where it's stupid and over the top. There's no major villains yet, but it feels nice. And I'm not really a big fan of the Teen Titans at all either. So I think they did all the characters really well. Beast Boy's cool looking. Raven's kind of the main plot of the first season, because she's still figuring out her powers, and it's actually her arc is really fucking terrifying. It feels a little bit like a horror movie.
Is her dad involved at all?
They talk about him a lot.
Okay.
And you get the feeling that there's some very demonic things going on with her.
Yeah,
she's
part demon.
Yeah. It's very neat. So far it's really got me, and I can't wait to continue watching the first season. It's probably going to be done before the end of this week, I'd imagine. I'm sucked in at this point.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was on HBO Max. I thought it was still just on that DC service. So
I
I'll
think
probably
they
check it
just
out
brought
soon.
it in. And another cool thing is they introduced the Doom Patrol within the first 4 episodes, and I guess they spun it off from there. And now it really makes me want to watch that because that was a great, entertaining episode, and those characters are really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And now I got to add that to the list. Once I'm done catching up on Titans, I got to watch Doom Patrol because it looks awesome.
So all of the DC, the shows that were on that DC service are now on HBO Max.
I
Right.
don't know about
Okay.
all of them. I don't even know if Doom Patrol's on HBO Max.
Yeah, it is.
It is?
It is?
Okay.
They all are. That DC service doesn't exist anymore. They
It's
canned
out.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Everything from that is now exists on HBO Max.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited to check this out. The potential is infinite with this little universe that they set up.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad you liked it because I saw it and the stills looked a little on the cheesy side to me.
Yeah,
So
it
I
was
just
a little
kinda-
cringe.
Yeah, so I never checked it out, but
Yeah, it's not. The costumes work really well in motion. Robin is really, really cool. And even Jason Todd Robin is really cool. But unlike piece of shit. As he should.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm probably gonna check it out soon as well. I didn't
I
realize
highly
it was on there.
recommend it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely watch that.
That's it for me. I watched White Christmas too. I went from White Christmas with Bing Crosby to Robin cheese grating someone's face with a broken car window. So I'm all over the place this week. Merry Christmas. What'd you watch, Murph?
Well, speaking real quickly about Christmas movies, I finally watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation
Yes.
the other day for the first time. It was okay. I definitely liked the first one a lot more. I noticed what you said, JP, about Clark just being a massive asshole.
Not the same character.
Like almost like immediately. I'm like, wow, he's like a piece of shit. And like it goes on pretty much throughout the entire movie that he's just like has these kind of like petty asshole moves for like no real reason. But and it was interesting because John Hughes wrote both of them. Because I made sure I'm like, did he write this one? And he wrote all 3 of them.
Interesting.
Well, the first 3.
Columbus was supposed to direct this one, and he got booted because he couldn't control
Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
I had heard about that a few months ago.
Yeah,
I was
watched
just
on
thinking-
the what was it, the Home Alone, how they made the Home Alone.
Good.
And he's like, yeah, Chevy Chase just ate me alive, and John Hughes is like, maybe fuck off. And
Yeah.
I'll get
But then
you
he ended
back.
up giving him Home Alone.
Yep.
And yeah, I guess this would have been post Adventures in Babysitting, pre Home Alone. Yeah, because he did Adventures in Babysitting in '87, and Home Alone in '90.
So Chevy Chase was always a psychopath.
Oh, he was
Oh,
a
yeah.
dick since the '70s. I mean, probably in the '60s as well. But '75 is when he broke big with SNL. And I'm sure he was a dick in the years before SNL and probably way before that as well.
I love that.
So maybe he wasn't
so
really
much.
acting in this version of Clark. Maybe this was just full on Chevy Chase.
I think he
Right,
really had a hard time keeping him in.
A little more accurate.
Yeah,
Uh,
it just doesn't feel like the same character.
nah.
Yeah. But I thought the kids were pretty good in it. Thought Johnny Galecki was solid, and
Mhm.
Juliette Lewis didn't get too much to do, but she was.
Audrey never
was good in
does,
it.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the family a lot. Like, I thought they were funny.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
big
Doris
story.
Roberts was one of of the moms and everything,
Mhm.
and one of the grandmothers from Everybody Loves Raymond. I thought that was cool. But yeah, so I watched that, and then but the main thing that I watched over the past 2 weeks was Big Mouth seasons 1 through 4, so the entire show on Netflix. Season 4 just debuted 2 weeks ago. So for those not aware of what the show is, it's an animated show created by Nick Kroll, his childhood friend Andrew Goldberg, and 2 others. And it basically takes place with a bunch of middle school kids going through puberty and them dealing with the horribleness that is. They have these hormone monsters that follow them around, and basically have them do their worst urges. And I don't think I've ever laughed so much from a TV show in my entire life. I was dying throughout it. I had been told to watch it in the past, but all I was aware, I was like, okay, like I know it's a Nick Kroll show, but then I found out John Mulaney plays the Andrew character, who's based on the co-creator, and I'm a huge John Mulaney fan, so I'm like, okay. Like once I found that, I started watching like basically the next day, and just flew through it. It's incredibly dirty. It is very relatable in like the most awkward fucking ways. Like it brings you back to like middle school, and how absolutely like horrible those years are. But Nick Kroll plays like 5 different characters, all of them absolutely hysterical. The rest of the main cast is Mulaney, Jesse Klein, who's a comedy writer. She basically plays like the 3rd main character of the show. Jason Mantzoukas.
Maya Rudolph's in it.
Yep, Maya Rudolph's the hormone monstrous, along with Nick, the main character, his mother. Fred Armisen's his dad, absolutely hysterical. Jenny Slate is one of the other kids. And yeah, I mean, it's gross. Parts of it, I'm like, I don't even know how the fuck you're getting away with like doing this. I guess just the fact that it's a cartoon and it's adults doing the voices.
Is it a Netflix show exclusively, or did it air?
Yeah, it's a Netflix show.
It's a Netflix show exclusively. Each season's 10 episodes. There was like a special Valentine's Day bonus one at the beginning of season 3, which is like 2 episodes combined. They're doing a spinoff called Human Resources, which is going to take place in the monster world, which I will also be watching. And yeah, no, I couldn't recommend this one more. If my walls, like if people could hear through it, then they just would have heard me like dying laughing throughout the past 2 weeks. So yeah. And Jordan Peele. He's the last regular. He plays the ghost of Duke Ellington, because he's the ghost that lives in Nick Kroll's house. But
how does this show go? How does it like? Does it get stronger as it goes, or like how would you say it? Like, because I saw season 1 when it dropped, and it was funny.
You would watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it like when it like first came out in season 1, and then just like when season 2, 3, and I guess 4 dropped, I haven't gone back and watched it. And it's not because it wasn't funny. I just like haven't had the urge to jump into that world again. But like,
yeah.
Would you say it gets better as it goes, or like same quality, a little dip in quality?
It gets more ambitious as it goes along.
Okay.
Like it's always incredibly serialized, which is I wasn't expecting as well. And when I think of cartoons, I think more of like Simpsons and the earlier South Parks, where each episode's fairly self-contained. But this one, the story just continues each episode. Yeah, they definitely get more experimental in the types of episodes that they do in the later seasons, especially season 4. There's a lot of songs on the show. I don't really believe there were many in season 1, but they kind of get it into like a musical vibe where each episode has like a different song. I preferred probably season 1 and 2 the most. well, 3. Also, I think season 4 I probably liked the least, but I think it might have just been from watching 40 episodes straight that that was just a little, yeah, it was just a little too much. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you didn't like season 1, like you're not gonna be into it by the time.
Yeah, no,
when you watch
liked
season
it.
2.
I just didn't have another season to immediately jump into, and so
Gotcha.
I just kind of like forgot about it.
Gotcha. But yeah, JP and Corey, I would recommend at least checking out an episode or two, and over the holidays, something to laugh at. You'll know pretty much immediately whether you enjoy it or not.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I'll add it to the old list.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ever-growing list. And one last thing is just it has the most insane voice cast, like between like the guest stars and the recurring characters. Basically, like everyone in comedy from the past like 10 years is in this show. So like everyone you hear, you're gonna be like, oh, I recognize their voice, et cetera, et cetera. All right. And then the last thing we had to talk about for this segment was Cobra Kai Season 2. So Season 3 will be coming out. They claim January 8th, but I'm going to say they drop it on New Year's Day.
That would be amazing.
I'm like 99.9% certain this is going to happen.
Right here first.
Yeah, I'm so confident. Never been more confident that like a drop is going to happen early.
Should we have a punishment for Murph if it doesn't happen?
That's fair. You can.
Yeah,
you definitely can.
So.
They are. All right. The season 3 trailer has like New Year's music. It doesn't.
You went full detective on this.
It no longer. The old commercials used to say January 8th. Now it just says January. So confident they're dropping it on New Year's Day.
If you play it backwards, it says Happy New Year's.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So Corey, you finally have seen season 2. Obviously, JP and myself have seen it. I've watched it again now.
Should I unplug for a little bit?
You don't like it, so it doesn't matter.
I don't like it. Are you ever gonna watch it?
I may watch it at some point. If you guys are gonna get into spoilers, I'll pull my headphone out.
I don't think there's really many spoilers to talk about. I was going to bring up if you talk about season 2, you have to talk about the fight at the end of the season.
So good.
The brawl at the school.
Yeah, the brain dead brawl where everyone is suddenly like eating from tubes and can't go to school anymore.
Yeah. And
if you get kicked in the head with shoes on, it hurts like a son of a bitch.
And Murph made such a good comparison, and like I didn't think about it obviously as it was going on because I was like overwhelmed with everything that was going on, but like comparing it to Old Boy, the way that was shot, the way they did it, I mean it was so much like that, but done in a like comedic way.
Daredevil, like a long big action scene where they tried to do as minimal cuts as possible.
Yeah. And it was very frenetic, and like the action was just it was awesome. It was a great episode. I mean, I enjoyed season 2 more than season 1, even though I loved season 1. But I don't know. I like how they're expanding the story, expanding the universe, I guess, and exploring those characters, especially Johnny and Daniel, in really really interesting ways that I never would have thought could happen. But
yeah, I definitely like season 1 better. I thought season 2 was good. It was just a little flat. And I thought the ending was fucking ridiculous.
It was, but
it was kind of one of those things where I was thinking, are they really gonna end the season this way? Like is this the way to end it?
Yep.
And I guess it was, but I don't know. I like that. I like that I forget his name. The old Cobra Kai guy.
Kreese. He's such a good bad guy.
Yeah, and he takes over at the end
John
pretty
Kreese.
much.
Dude, I just like smile whenever I see him on screen now because like he's just such a good bad guy.
He really is, and he falls right back into it. I mean, in a lot of ways, the same as you know, the two actors. I forgot their names, but what's his name?
Ralph Macchio.
Well, Ralph Macchio, but yeah, there you go. I forgot his name. But yeah, I mean, he falls right back into the character so well, and it's like nothing has changed. It's like that's him.
Yeah, he does a really good job, and he's so subtly evil in this one. Because for a while I thought he wasn't gonna be that bad, but then he just totally undercuts him and takes everything back, and it
was all part of the plan.
It was really all part of the plan.
I wonder if he was even staying at that veterans home or whatever.
I'm sure. I think he was.
That was sad. I felt bad for him for a while.
I don't know if I believe it.
Fucking cock ass.
Now he's training Hawk and
yeah. Oh, what a piece of shit that kid is.
Yeah, Hawk's a fucking garbage human being.
And he's at quite the arc so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Tori, the two of them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she's evil. I forgot about her a little bit. I watched this so long ago.
Yeah, because what did season 2 come out 2 years ago? At this point,
it was like the early 2018.
Oh wow! So
I gotta go back and watch it.
Or no, sorry, early 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, early 2019.
Only got what, a week and 4 days, Murph, right? Because
yeah, on January 1st, New Year's Day, 12 o'clock. Well, 3 a.m. because that's when Netflix drops things.
I mean, Murph and I burned through the entire second season in one sitting, so
yeah, we did that like real fast.
Yeah, it's an easy watch.
Yeah, I don't.
It's such an easy watch. Like
yeah.
it's the like each episode's under 30 minutes for the most part.
Yeah.
The fact that it's so comedic, like you can just fly through it.
Yeah.
But JP, I was saying to Corey earlier today because they did a Reunited Apart, Josh Gad show with the Karate Kid / Cobra Kai. Did you remember the episode where it has like his three Cobra Kai friends? The one of them has cancer. And spoiler alert, Doug, he passed away.
That's a sad episode.
Yeah, he actually had cancer and passed away that same year, which I had no idea until today. The one who played Tommy.
That's a nice little send off.
Yeah.
Damn, that's sad.
He died probably like 4 months after the episode aired. So they like he had said like it was just such a great experience like to be back like in that world, and they said like he would have been in season 3 probably in like flashbacks or something like that. But like to get that episode, I thought was very touching.
Yeah, that was really cool,
especially after hearing that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
because all of them
he passed after the season aired.
Yeah, in 2019.
Okay, because I was saying I don't remember seeing a like a in memoriam.
Yeah, they did that in the Reunited Apart, and that's when I found out. I was like, oh shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with season 3. It'll be cool with the Karate Kid Part 2 characters coming back. In this one.
I don't remember shit about Karate Kid Part 2. What was that?
That's when they go to Okinawa.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that.
It's a good one. It's good.
You definitely enjoy it.
And then maybe we'll get some Karate Kid Part 3 characters. Maybe we'll get Terry Silver.
I mean, they were Terry Silver and a bunch of the other ones were on the Reunited Part today. So,
oh man,
wouldn't surprise me if they're eventually back. Elizabeth Shue will definitely be back.
Oh, she has to be. Yeah.
She was on it today. She's a 2-time Reunited Apart person at this point, since she was on the Back to the Future one.
That's true.
And then she can do the Reunited Apart Adventures in Babysitting.
Exactly.
Gotta do it.
I mean, there's a lot of good actors to include on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Are there really?
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I had no idea that was.
Well,
him.
he's unrecognizable in that movie.
No, Vincent D'Onofrio was Thor.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
you got him. You got Bradley Whitford.
Yeah, Bradley Whitford. Brenda.
You got one of the kids from Dazed and Confused is like the best friend. Yeah, you got Penelope Ann Miller from Kindergarten Cop. Is Brenda
I know these people as the people
as their character names? But no, there
Adventures
are
in
a
Babysitting.
bunch of famous people ended up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've seen
Man,
it. I
that-
need to revisit it.
That fucked my night up. I did not know that Vincent D'Onofrio was Thor.
Yeah, you're never gonna be able to look at him the same way again.
The main bad guy from Adventures in Babysitting was he was from some other like 80s movie. I
Well,
thought.
the sidekick was in Home Alone 2 and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Is that the fat motherfucker that gets stuck on the ledge?
Yes,
That
he's
after credit scene. So good.
he's. Oh, there's an after credit scene.
Oh yeah,
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch that after
you gotta
this.
watch it. Yeah.
it's so good.
I'm gonna throw it up on YouTube now, so I don't forget.
That was like an OG after credit scene.
Yeah, he's the one who brings Mrs. McAllister to Rockefeller Center. He's the cop.
Oh shit! I
Is it
didn't
one
know
of
that.
the Fratelli brothers? That one of those actors in that movie from the Goonies?
Possibly.
I thought
You mean Pants?
Yeah,
maybe.
it's not
Joey
Pants.
Pants.
Yeah, we're down a rabbit hole now.
Yeah.
But
Babysitting episode. I thought we said that.
oh, I guess one last thing since we're talking about Elizabeth
yeah.
Shue stuff.
Let's go all night.
I watched Hamlet 2 for the first time today, and Elizabeth Shue is in that, and she plays herself. So they bring up like Adventures in Babysitting and
That's Steve Coogan, right?
Karate
That was
Kid, and what was that?
Steve Coogan? Wasn't that his?
Yeah.
His movie.
Yep.
That looked
Yeah.
really funny. I never saw it.
Yeah, it was very demented. You can find that on Stars.
Dad loves that movie.
But I was like, oh shit, Elizabeth Shue, and you play yourself. I forgot about this from the trailers. Nice surprise. But yeah,
Pretty funny.
Cobra Kai season 2.
Pumped for season 3. If
We'll
it's
talk
New
about
Year's Day.
season 3 in a few weeks. I'm sure you, me, and JP will all watch it
Oh hell yeah.
the week it comes out. So if it drops on, and New Year's Day is a Friday. So
If it drops on New Year's Day, Murph, come on.
yeah, when it drops on New Year's
There
Day,
you go.
because again, it's a Friday. Netflix drops their shit on Fridays. It all lines up.
Yeah.
It's like
We'll talk about it the following Monday because I'm sure we'll all watch it that weekend. All right, let's move on to the feature presentation. So again, we're gonna go right into more TV talk. This will be part 1 of our Best of 2020 series in 2 weeks when we have some time to catch up on the remaining films of the year, like Soul, Wonder Woman, 1984, perhaps some of the ones in theaters like News of the World and Promising Young Woman. We will run through our favorite films of the year. But for now, since all the seasons of television are complete, we can start with our best TV of the year. So we'll start with our favorite series or seasons. Each of us ranked our top 3, and then we will get into our favorite individual episode of the year for each of us. But yeah, all these shows, I believe every single one of them, the entirety of it aired in 2020. There definitely is some overlap because if something was our favorite, we're not going to not include it just because somebody else did. But Corey, you want to start with your number 3 show?
Yeah. So my number 3 was Perry Mason. This show, I had like a very big roller. I mean, I know we talked about this when we were reviewing the show, but this was like very much a roller coaster for me. Beginning I liked, and then like the couple episodes after that, I definitely kind of like fell off a little bit, and then it picked up again. But like once the show completed, I felt incredibly satisfied with how it ended, and knowing that Perry Mason is, a show that definitely is going to continue for however many seasons now, like the original show did. I thought it set it up really well. I mean, they painted the picture like perfectly for that time period. The cast was amazing. So this, out of the very few shows that I did watch that came out this year, I've been trying to, catch up with older shows. This definitely is one of my favorites. A lot of them are HBO, honestly. I was thinking about this before on my list.
Yeah.
A lot of HBO.
When obviously we did our weekly recaps of Perry Mason earlier this year, all of us, well, Doug, I think you dropped out of it fairly quickly. I don't think it was necessarily because you didn't like it, but just because there's a lot of TV and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong. You might have fucking hated it and just not said it.
No, I mean, it didn't grab. I mean, a lot of it's like consensus TV in my household, so like my wife and I both have to like it, and so there wasn't.
You probably lost her.
Kind of just
you probably lost her.
Lost my wife, and I was kind of like
in the first scene.
Yeah, I'm like it's entertaining. I'd like to see where it goes from here, but the very first episode is very much like you don't necessarily. I don't know. I didn't feel like I needed to. It didn't have that like I need to click the next episode for me.
Yeah,
but hearing you guys talk about it and talking so highly about it, I definitely want to go back and watch it at some point. It's one of those like when I have time with Mank. Yeah, maybe I can like watch some Perry Mason.
And those are
saying it like that
fairly
sounds like
similar.
Kind of,
yeah, those are
like
that'd be a good double feature.
Yeah.
Imagine,
sure.
Oh man, imagine Perry Mason as a black and white show.
Oh fuck, that would look. Oh,
it would look great.
So nice.
That would be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did really good work with the color though. That was shot so perfectly. So I don't know if you can really make it better because it just felt beautiful. But it's something I would definitely like to see. Even if they did a flashback and put it in that black and white type thing with the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I would say if we were gonna rank like best performances or something, like Matthew Rhys would be pretty high.
Yeah.
On my list. I mean, he's just an incredible actor.
So good.
This was
him
a
and
really close number 3 for me. I probably would.
I thought I was expecting it to be on yours.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I probably would have put it on if no one else had put it on because it's a show that definitely needed to be talked about. But when I was looking at the list, I thought, there are so many other ones that were really close with at number 3 for me that I figured, I can talk about this. This is definitely 3B for me, or 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 3 shows that I could have put it.
It's like a 3-way tie.
Yeah, it was very tough doing like just 3. I had like before you guys like saw what I put together, I had like a list of like 10 other shows that were like honorable mentions.
Sure.
But I'm like, they're gonna include a bunch of them on their lists, and which you guys did.
Yeah, this was more straightforward for me because I'm so backed up with TV.
Yeah, and I mean, I should know. I mean, a lot of 2020 for probably all of us was catching up on old shows, or rewatching old shows, which I'm sure tons of people listening did the same thing this year.
Yeah, I watched 13 seasons of King of the Hill to start the pandemic. Don't regret a minute of that.
Yeah.
All right.
The one last thing just the one last thought I wanted to say about the show, and I think I hope they change this for next season, is the show was a very slow build up and a slow burn. Like I fucking
love that. Give me more of that.
I know, but I think like
JP likes minimal things to happen.
I love that. Yes, give me slow burn.
Which is fine,
like
but I guess
every minute I invested in this season was so fucking worth it.
I
love that.
I feel like the first half of the season wasn't as interesting as the last half for me. I
disagree.
I just
love the detective work in the first
half. And I liked it a lot too. I just think that it got a little bit convoluted in the first not maybe episode 2 and 3. It was a little convoluted, and it lost me a little bit. and then it started to build at a good pace. But that's really my only, gripe about the show personally. I mean, I think everything else about it is fantastic, but I want to revisit it, and then maybe that'll change after watching it again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a show I'm gonna watch before the new season comes out, whenever it does come.
I hope they continue with the one case per season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially now that like they have it in place with what its profession is and everything like that.
You
But
can have side things. They did a really good job.
yeah, you got to do some side things.
Keeping little side things going on and still maintaining the same course or the same case that they were working on. Talking about it might make it go back up the list in the number 3. yeah, after this talk.
All right, Doug, what was your number 3?
I went ahead and put Mando as my number 3.
Mando.
As much as shit as I like nitpicking I can do on this show, it's just like a fun show I think this season 2 elevated the show from what it was in season 1. We got so many it was a launching point for so many new TV shows. A show that in season 1 felt like not a lot happened. Season 2 felt like everything happened. And it was, for what they did for the Star Wars universe, which is get a ton of people excited about it again, who weren't excited about it coming off of the new movies. To me, it just deserved that spot in number 3. They're just like, from a storytelling perspective, they did so much for Star Wars, and
it was a huge win.
It was such a fun ride, and I can't wait for the 30 new Disney Star Wars shows that we have coming after this.
Just genuine excitement when they were announcing them all.
Yeah,
it all sounds so good.
So yeah, I thought coming into season 2, like the first couple episodes felt a lot like season 1 Mandalorian, where it was just like, all right, Baby Yoda and Mandalorian's adventures. And I'd say like probably when we got halfway through, it turned into like, here's all these cool characters that we're gonna launch and have their own TV show. And like
every episode was like a backdoor pilot for another character.
But it was like kind of like buckle up, and like I'm guessing it seemed, Murph, like you kind of changed your thoughts on Mandalorian, because I know like the first half of season 2 you were just kind of like, I don't know, this show's not really for me. I haven't heard you say that in a while.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the second half of this season more than any other stretch of the show, by far. It felt more serialized. Every episode felt like was integral to the plot. We didn't wait an episode in between, like a stopgap one, to get to the next point. Like it was like, if we need to get somewhere, we're there the next episode, which I enjoyed a lot more than how it had been in season 1 and the beginning of season 2. I mean, a lot of people are saying like it was a little fan servicey. I'm not going to say what some people are saying. Season 2 was a little fan servicey, but I don't even really agree with that. Like I think we had talked earlier, like things with the finale, I think they were just what made sense.
Yeah, it's not like they put anything in there to just be out of place just so fans could scream about it. It all made sense.
Yeah, they're connecting. Yeah. They're starting to connect little things, that lead to bigger things. It's starting to make sense as a whole now.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way... I was just going to say, even the way that when they were all sitting in that cockpit and they were watching Luke Skywalker or just a random Jedi walk through this, it gave you so much more of a sense of what this world's... Because they don't know what the fuck a Jedi is. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 of them do. And it's just scary to see one. Even though he saved them, they were still scared to open the door. So
yeah, they were like, this dude, he didn't... the way like he's presented with the cloak on and everything like that, like he very well could just be another bad guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't paint a picture of an area or a universe where Jedi are commonplace and all this is commonplace. It still makes you feel like their universe is pretty large and things happen independently of the Skywalker. I guess.
Yeah, like Din doesn't know how to react when he gets told like "May the Force be with you."
Yeah.
Like, it'd be fucking cool if he was like,
cult guy.
"Thanks."
It's like, thanks, bro.
But yeah, I mean, I think the only thing you could probably say was fan servicey was probably Boba Fett.
Even then, though,
Yeah, but they reinvented him in one episode.
They reinvented him, but it's also that was the expanded canon too. Prior to Disney coming in and wiping it clean, was that he got out and he does his own thing.
Right.
So Disney did a really bad thing when they took all that expanded universe stuff and just threw it in the toilet.
Yeah, they're slowly bringing things back at this point.
Yeah, so now they're slowly
like what people liked.
Yeah,
like I'm sure we're gonna get like Mara Jade and like these other things like in different ways that people liked.
And I think that's great, and I think that's you bring back Boba Fett because it makes sense because you have Mandalorians and you expanded, you have Bo-Katan now, and you had that whole Mandalorian network, and if Boba Fett's alive in the old expanded universe, bring him back because it's a cool thing to do.
Is Boba Fett's armor Beskar also?
Yeah.
Hence why he can survive the Sarlacc pit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's got the cunning to get out of there, and it's cool. And this was my number one show of the year because I thought there wasn't a show this year where I was super excited to turn it on and watch it. Perry Mason was cool. It was Monday night. I watched Perry Mason. I go do the thing. Every day I woke up and I realized it was Friday. I was like, oh shit, here we go. And I watched episodes 2 or 3 times the same day. I would just, as soon as it's done, I'm going to watch it right again. And that was...
It's so wild because you like were so out of Star Wars only like 2 years ago.
Really, mm-hmm. I was so done with Star Wars. After that second... what is
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, the Yo Mama joke movie. I was just so out. I was so done with Star Wars. I didn't want anything to do with it. And this just brought me so much. I'm back in. And I'm so excited for all the little Star Wars TV shows that are sprouting up here and there. I want more. I don't want more movies. Maybe Rogue Squadron. That's one of those ones where I'm going to go and be like, I've been burned before. Patty Jenkins, don't do it to me again. But I'm so on board now. And this is kind of revitalized my love for Star Wars. I want to go out and buy toys and stuff. I have... Hold.
The one nice thing is that... Oh, there you go.
My gun.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Put that near me at all times now. I got my
got your helmet in the back.
There.
The one nice thing now is that they can really realistically put the movies kind of on the back burner for a little bit. And have whatever the next one ends up being, have that come out maybe like a year or 2 from now, as if that's what I think.
It comes out December 23.
Okay, so even longer than that. So yeah,
they don't need to rush the movies
they don't
at all,
and I think that's
they
good.
Got Avatar 2 in December 22.
They can establish the expanded universe. Avatar.
Wasn't Avatar supposed to come out last week?
Yeah.
Avatar was supposed to come out like 7 years ago.
It was supposed to come out last Friday for like its 3rd release date.
Happy Avatar 2 Day. Season 2 was so good. So good.
Yeah, a lot of...
I gotta survive for a whole nother year. See
it definitely makes me happy that you're back on the Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because I was bummed when you wouldn't even go see Rise of Skywalker.
Wow.
Since we had gone to see that like our midnight movies or whatever back since the prequel trilogy, and you were so burnt out at that point. It was like I'm good.
It's sad.
I was out within the first 15 minutes of The Last Jedi. When Poe Dameron was making Yo Mama jokes, I said, "Why the fuck am I here right now? This is horrible." And like halfway through the movie, I was just staring like a zombie, and I was done with Star Wars movies at that point. But I'm back. I mean, I will approach the movies.
Fucking Godfather 3. Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Back in. Son of a bitch.
Classic Al Pacino. All right. Anything else on? Well, we can always circle back to Mando when you get to your number 1. But if nothing else, we can go to your number 3, JP.
Yeah, my number 3 was a weird one, and it wasn't something that I thought I would really like. It's Sex Education. It's a Netflix show starring Gillian Anderson and fuck knows who else. I don't know anyone else in it. It's a bunch of British kids.
Is that Jamie Bell? Is he on that one?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
Nope, it's not him.
No.
Oh, he's on that doctor show.
Yeah. This is a show that my wife was watching during season 1, and it was one of those ones where it's like, okay, I'll watch most of the episodes with you. She probably caught 1 or 2 when I wasn't around there. And it's like, oh, this is stupid, but you can watch it while I'm in the room. And then
it's a kid from Hugo, the Scorsese movie.
Oh, the one with the robot?
The one where
the horse.
It's like the 1920s or 1910s, and there's movies. It was pretty good.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was it's fine. I'm just trying to cover my thoughts now. After season 1, I was okay, whatever. And then when season 2 hit, I was oddly really excited to watch it because I was invested, I guess, subconsciously in every character's plot line. And it's not really my typical cup of tea. But I was thinking the other day, and this is probably why this got to be number 3. I actually turned to my wife and said, "Are they making another season of that show? Because I'd really want to watch it right now for some reason." And this was maybe a month or 2 ago. And when I was doing this list, I thought of that. So that's really odd. And for something that I wasn't super into in the first season to pique my interest in the second season and then get me wanting to watch the third season, it was a pretty neat watch. It's interesting. It's funny. There's a lot of heart to it. The characters are really well done. And it's one of those, it's sort of like the Nick Kroll show you're talking about. It's kids going through puberty in England, which makes it weird because I don't understand England. But it's something everyone can relate to. But there's a fair amount of comedy in there just to keep it from being way too stupid and snap.
Yeah, I hear Gillian Anderson's really funny on it.
Fantastic.
And like she's a sex
therapist.
She talks about things like you would not want your mom to be talking about and things like that.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that movie Charlie Bartlett, where he was the son of therapists and he would give kids sessions, because that's what this kid does. His mom's a sex therapist, so he talks to kids and they pay him to give them sex advice even though he's a virgin. And he can't coon. That's his problem. He has a problem doing that. He has intimacy issues. So it reminds me of that
Nick Kroll's problem.
Yeah. It reminds me of that movie in that aspect, which Charlie Bartlett was a pretty cool movie. I remember watching it in college once or twice. It's a neat idea. He gets in all sorts of trouble for obviously giving kids sex advice in the bathroom of the school, which people don't want you doing because you're like a 17-year-old virgin.
I mean, it's better than other things you could be doing in a bathroom.
Yeah, definitely.
It's fucking could be glory holes and shit.
Yeah, I don't know if they exist in England, but this was
that might be purely American.
They're a little more prim and proper over there, and I'm assuming Gillian Anderson isn't British, so she does an accent. I can't tell if it's. She
is British, isn't she?
She is British.
Well, she's on The Crown. She was Margaret Thatcher, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, I think she's American.
Gillian
I'm almost
Anderson?
like 100% sure that Gillian Anderson's American.
Yeah. So why the hell is she always getting these British roles?
I don't know.
She has a killer British accent.
Scully.
Her Margaret. I watched an episode of her as Margaret Thatcher on The Crown, and it was kind of.
I'm aware that she's Scully, but more people do more British actors do American accents than American actors doing British accents.
Yeah.
They tend to go with just a British actor if they can.
Yeah.
Not her.
Not Gillian Anderson.
She does a good job. She's got some good arcs. I definitely recommend watching it if you have nothing else to watch. It's kind of neat, and you might find yourself getting.
Well, that never happens.
You literally
That's
have
for me,
nothing
man.
else to watch. Give this a
Oh, dude,
shot.
it happens to me all the time. I have a list, and then I forget about that list, and I have nothing to watch, so I watch something else.
It's like
That's Corey.
It's a
Corey's
fun
got like a
musical
queue
one.
that he's just like, these are.
Yeah, he ignores it all the time. It's like, cool, you have to watch The Boys. Oh, cool. I watched the Santa Claus 1 through 4. Corey, it's July. Why did you do that? I don't know. I just did it.
I was just in the mood.
sometimes you just circumvent the list. You just don't want to watch anything on the list.
Yeah, Corey, how are we
That's
at the
what I'm
best of 2020 and you still have not watched The Boys season 2?
I'll get there. I got a lot of my plate.
It's over
Well-
now.
While we were
Lots of Santa Clauses to watch.
While we were watching it, you're like, well, I'm going to wait till the end of the season and watch it all at once.
Yeah, it never
so then we can
happened.
talk
I'm going to wait till the end of the year and watch it all at once. I'm going to wait till the end of the world and watch it all at once.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
All right.
Go
Well-
watch Sex Education. It's fun. Maybe you'll
That
learn
was-
a thing or two about being a teenager in England.
All right, well, this is a perfect segue for my number 3, The Boys. Similar to what JP said about The Mandalorian being a show where, like, every Friday he'd be super pumped. I'd say this was the show of 2020 that on the day it aired, I was the most excited to watch it, pending the back half of another show that we will be talking about later today. But the way that they did it, where they aired, how they had the first 3 episodes all at once and got through like all the exposition that you need for the season to really get into fucking like hyperdrive. I thought that was perfect because then each week after that, I was so amped because I knew like shit was already moving. So every Thursday night, and that is the way streaming shows should do it. They should put on their shows on Thursday night, not on Fridays at 3 a.m., where they're spoiled on Twitter by 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked up. But that's a whole nother story. The Boys do it right with Thursday nights. And yeah, I mean, I thought season 2, I know a lot of people, well, you guys, thought it was a little bit of a letdown compared to season 1. But I was still super into it the entire time. Yes, season 1 was better, but I didn't think season 2 was like, I didn't think it went like downhill or anything like that. I thought it was like pretty much at the same level. But who the fuck would have thought The Boys would be on Barack Obama's best of 2020 list? I could not imagine. I cannot have imagined
that's
the goddamn former president of the United States sitting down and watching The Boys every
say
week.
fuck and stuff like that. It's
The entire cast were like, what?
yeah, that's
First, it was like on his short list of shows that he watched, like while writing his book, like to like get at, like to like unwind. It was like that Watchmen, like something else. And then this past week, he put out his best of 2020 list, which for the first time he like now he considers TV equal to film and had like 2 separate lists. Which yes, TV is just as good as film. But yeah, Boys,
Wow.
The Boys season 2 was
he had Watchmen on there, which is like one of my favorite
Watchmen.
shows of the last decade.
Watchmen was on his list for 2019. It was
Uh-oh.
Watchmen, Fleabag season 2, and the miniseries Unbelievable on Netflix. But
I haven't seen that.
that was for 2019. But this year he had like 7 shows, and a bunch of them that we're talking about right now were on the list.
I bet he had Sex Education on there too, probably.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to The Boys, that was one that for 3, I was between Mandalorian and The Boys. And it kept like going back and forth in my head, and like Mandalorian just kind of edged it out, but The Boys was definitely really good. I think if we were talking about like season 1, The Boys, it would have definitely at least made it for number 3 for me. But yeah, like you said, like I didn't love season 2 as much as I love season 1. I just felt like the storytelling wasn't as tight,
Mhm.
which I said,
Which is true. We talked
Yeah,
about
we-
that.
Yeah, we talked about it a ton, and so that's I think why it didn't make it to 3. But like JP said, if we could have done like 3A, B, C, it would have been in one of those for sure.
Yeah.
It was a good. It's still a great show. It's still got like great acting. I just hope season 3 they kind of tighten up the script a little bit and the overall story.
I'm gonna be real. If the only way this show's getting on my list for TV shows for 2020 is if it was a best of 10.
Wow.
It was not something that really, when I go back and think about it, I was not too fond of this season. It did not hold a candle to the first season for me, at least. And when I was sitting here thinking of my list, it maybe comes in at 6 or 7. There were just other things that I really got gripped with this year, and I wasn't super like counting the days till The Boys came out, and I felt disappointed in a lot of them. There's a lot of good parts in it. It's not a bad show. It just stacked up with some of the stuff that I watched this year. I don't know. The Boys didn't really do it for me. There were some good episodes. There's some good parts of episodes, but I don't know. It left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I
Still
think with the
excited for season 3.
with the boys, like just the characters are what I enjoy so much. Like it doesn't necessarily, like, yeah, story's important and everything like that, but I am cool with just watching these characters do their thing because I find them so entertaining. That it's always going to be high on my list. I feel like obviously things can change. Like if a show runs too long, it will naturally go down. But they're still fresh to me, so that definitely contributed to being as high as it was.
Yeah, it's not a bad show. It's definitely worthy of being in the top 3 for sure. So, I don't know. Something weird about The Boys for me this year. Maybe it was the pandemic.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be real. If I was including shows from that I watched this year, but that were from like 2019 or 2018, then it wouldn't have made my list because there were some other favorites that I had that I only just got to this year. But since we're only talking about 2020 shows, it did make it.
Yeah, I couldn't put Titans on my list.
Corey, you want to get into your number 2?
Yeah, my number 2 is Lovecraft Country. Like I said, another HBO joint from this year.
No, only Spike Lee makes joints. We've talked about this.
It's a joint.
And Kevin Smith.
No, Kevin Smith just makes movies.
So
It's a pot reference.
Clever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this show I really, and I was thinking about this show earlier today because I wanted to actually revisit it. This show was such a wild ride, and just
No, you have so many other shows to watch. Do not revisit Lovecraft Country.
Don't rewatch this show.
It's just
For the love of God, there's like 20 shows you need to watch.
I know, but this was like right in my wheelhouse. I loved it. Loved it.
All right, and why did you say you wouldn't watch season 2 when we did our end of the year thing? You got peer pressure from me and Doug saying we wouldn't watch it.
Did you watch 3 shows this year?
I'm pretty sure.
It's on your top 3 list.
By default.
I said earlier that my list of 2020 shows is very small because I was catching up on older stuff. I can't think of another show. Pretty sure this is it.
By default.
I really like this show, though.
I kind of remember you saying you wouldn't watch another season of it, too.
That did happen. We have it on film.
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't watch another season of this exact story, but
how is it number 2 then?
because I really enjoyed this season. I enjoyed this story. How could you
Poor
have
Perry
another...
Mason. How did it end up below it and you wouldn't even watch season 2 of Lovecraft Country?
I would not. The reason why is because I don't really know, and I'm going to get to that. The way that this season ended, I feel like it has to follow completely different characters. So at this stage of the game, I don't know. I don't know if I would watch it or not because I don't. If it was following these characters again, no, I would not watch it because I feel like their story is complete. But
Gotcha.
I could see them continuing it with other characters, or maybe having 1 or 2 characters from this past season returning to kind of continue some sort of plot thread. But
maybe like American Horror Story, where they just keep the same actors and actresses.
Maybe.
Yeah, like the anthology.
Yeah, but I enjoyed this because I liked how they took a lot of stories and a lot of things from pop culture and history and turned them on its head and like did something different with it. And it was a thriller. It was horror. You know, it had a lot of horror in it, and I enjoyed it.
That's fair.
Out of the stuff
my favorite television or critic had Lovecraft Country as his number 2.
I enjoyed this.
It's one of the rare. It's one of the times I disagree. But I mean, some people just connected with it more.
Yeah. So Perry Mason was a better show, like overall, and set up a universe and a continuing series better. But I enjoyed the ride as a whole of this season more, and that's kind of how my thought process was with this list.
Gotcha.
Because I did not watch a lot of 2020 television shows this year, just didn't. So
okay,
that is 2.
All right, Doug, you're number 2.
Yeah, I picked the Queen's Gambit, which showed me that
dope show.
Chess, drugs, and rock and roll can all go together.
Damn straight.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked at length about the show. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I think part of probably why I liked it so much is we caught it before people told me that it was good and worth watching, so it was kind of one of those surprises. I know JP disagrees with me on this, but I thought Anya Taylor-Joy is fun in this role. I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her dynamic with her foster mother, her adopted mother.
The foster mother was the star of the show. She was great.
Yeah, their dynamic is the heart of that show. But yeah, it was a surprise for me this season. I enjoyed it. It's a one-off. I don't think we're getting a season 2. It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's like a companion piece to Mad Men. They could have just called it Mad Woman. Despite not being in the advertising world. But I thought they did the period piece of the 60s incredibly well. Whether they're in Vegas or on a Pan Am flight or whatever it is.
It was a good show. Just felt like it was a little flat for me. Just a little soulless.
So much soul.
Show.
Corey, this is another one you gotta watch, and we'll talk about it.
Queen's Gambit?
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
It's a quick watch.
Watch it with your girlfriend. You can watch it in one night.
Oh, she watched it already. So that's
Murph saw it in the night.
Oh yeah, he did art.
As soon as you're done, you know how to play chess.
She watched it before me.
Good at it.
True, you did say that.
Actually. I will say though, it's on my watch list. It's on there. So.
There you go. You can have a top 10 just of these shows on your watch list.
I also
shows that Corey's gonna skip. Shows that Corey's gonna skip to watch the Santa Claus 1 through 3 again.
All right, JP, you're number 2.
And number 2 is What We Do in the Shadows, season 2, which I had to look up when this came out because it didn't feel like it came out in the summer because this whole year felt like one big piece of shit.
Yeah.
So
fairly soon after the pandemic started, that it aired, right? I think it was like April, May, June.
Yeah. It was a great season. Followed up the first season really, really well, and there were some spectacular episodes within that season. One of them makes my ranking for the top episode of the year. Spoiler alert. they got Jermaine Clement back for the last episode. Everything ended on a really cool note and set up really well for season 3. I love these characters. I would watch them do anything. I watched them sit and watch the Super Bowl but not see the Super Bowl.
The superb owl.
The superb owl. And I found that hilarious. I love the writing on this show. I love the comedy. I love when Taika gets his hands on it. You can really tell when he starts to meddle a little bit, even though he's pretty detached from it at this point, I think. Such a good show. It's one of those... I'm glad it's getting its due because it feels like one of those shows that pops up, is really great, no one watches it, and then it disappears. But I'm glad that we're getting a 3rd season. This could have probably easily been my number 1 had it not been for just the giddy, nerdy fandom that is The Mandalorian.
Yeah, this was one that would have been either 4 or 5 for me. It was definitely my number 2 comedy of the year. And when I get to the number 1 comedy that I had on there, I'll explain why it was not. Because the season as a whole was phenomenal. Yeah. It was definitely leveled up from season 1. Each one just had a great standalone concept, while still continuing to advance the narrative overall, mostly with Guillermo. I mean, he had probably the most, really the only long-standing narrative arc that really mattered in season 2, I would say.
It really makes sense because all the characters in the show are just kind of...
They're in stasis. They've been alive for hundreds of years.
Yeah, they're like their own chaotic thing that happens, and
yeah,
you can have a whole episode around something else, and it's sort of like Always Sunny, like when they have the one Always Sunny episode where it was it followed Frank, and every time he came in, the gang was doing something completely fucking different and out of the world. It's kind of like the way the vampires are; they just sort of do whatever they're gonna do, and Guillermo has some sort of sense of purpose because he's immortal. And you got Nandor and Laszlo banging each other because they had a bunch of ghosts over. Such a good season.
Yeah, I am super excited for season 3. But yeah, I have nothing more to say about it. Obviously, you're going to get to your favorite episode later on, which is a standout. But
it really was.
Yeah.
And it really illustrates that fact that the vampires just do whatever the fuck they want. No one seems to, like, they don't give a shit. Like, time passes differently for them.
Exactly. All right. And Corey, I believe this was your number 1 show.
Yeah, it was. Based on JP's recommendation for so many months, he kept saying how good of a show it was, and
humping the leg of this show for a while.
Yeah,
I love it.
This definitely was, like, as I said, I took this approach as like the most fun that I had, with a show this year, since I really didn't watch that much from this year. So this was definitely the most fun ride that I had. I mean, every episode I was like on the floor. Season 1 was amazing, but season 2, which came out earlier in the spring, which is insane to think, it was just so funny. Every episode I was just on the floor laughing, and the writing was fantastic. And yeah, I mean, this has become like a show I'm like really looking forward to next year, season 3, hopefully. It's definitely on the top of my list. So.
Yeah, and this is one where I don't foresee the pandemic being a problem with filming, just because it's a tight
set,
group of core actors for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, my number 2 show was Schitt's Creek, which ended this past year. It really came down to the last maybe 3 or 4 episodes of the show, which I thought were like perfect, and the exact way to end the show. They did it. If it was the season as a whole, it would not have made my top 3. But the fact that they ended it as well as they did is why it is as high as it is. Basically, every character, whether it's the main 4 characters or supporting characters, get like the ending that they deserve, and they all get to take like their bow in a really well done way. So that was the reason why it edged out something like what we do in the shadows, which, like I said, which was my number 2 comedy. But I would say, as a season as a whole, I would say What We Do in the Shadows was the best one of the season of the year in 2020. But yeah, the fact that I watched all 6 seasons right in a row during the beginning of this pandemic, and it ended as strongly as it did, was why I had it in my runner-up spot.
My wife's a big fan of the show. She still hasn't seen the last season yet, though.
It's on Netflix now.
Yeah, she's been waiting for that. But
isn't Eugene Levy's son on the show?
Yeah, he is really the brainchild of it. Like, he's the showrunner and he's the co-creator with Eugene Levy.
Very cool.
But it's more him than Eugene. And yeah, like the 4 of them are some of the most perfectly cast ensembles on television. They're all fantastic. And it's great to see people like Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara in the spotlight when they've been around for the last 40 years, and they're now more famous than ever. So that
Catherine O'Hara is easily my favorite part of that show from what I've watched. She's just such a good comedic actress.
She really is so funny. I mean,
just gotta let her go. Do what she's gonna do. It's brilliant.
Yep. Yeah, when you let her go all out, that is when she's like her funniest. Like Home Alone, like holds her back. Nightmare Before Christmas, like holds her back.
This show, she channels a lot of like what she did in.
What'd you say, Corey?
Orange County.
This is more in the Orange County vein.
That's what I've pictured.
This is in like the Christopher Guest, like the SCTV, like the type of that type of mode, like the improv.
I get the Beetlejuice too, because when she's like, screams about like killing herself because they dent the models.
She's very much in that mode. The Deets mode.
Yeah,
all right, and our number 1s, Corey's, like we said, was What We Do in the Shadows. JP, yours was The Mandalorian, which we said already. So Doug and myself, we shared the number 1. I know it was incredibly high on JP's too. I think he just didn't include it just because it was already on 2 other people's lists. We all fucking loved it. Corey just hasn't watched it.
Wait, that never happens.
It's on his list. Everyone knows this. But Doug, you want to get into it?
I will love it when I watch it.
Have you seen any of Saul, Corey?
I saw the pilot.
Oh, Lord.
When the pilot aired.
You got a lot of work to do, my friend.
I know.
But I don't want to see you watching Santa Claus ever again.
Doug, you want to get into it? Number 1?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, just talking about the show overall, it's not. I didn't expect a lot going into a spinoff of Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Better Call Saul is the show. Just not something I expected a ton from, being that it's a spinoff show of something as great as what was Breaking Bad. But man, I mean, probably hooked me from season 1, but every season has consistently been better and builds off of that prior season. And this season that premiered in I believe it was season 5.
Yep.
For 2020 was definitely hands down their best season. For me, fired at all cylinders. I thought, as far as Emmys goes, they should have won. It should have been a clean sweep for Better Call Saul. Unfortunately, I don't know what was the Emmy outcome. Did they win any?
Nah.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they've won one Emmy yet.
Yeah, and I know I probably bitched about that when we talked about Emmys earlier. But it's still to me such a shame. This is to me the best show on television. And it's why it was in my number one. I love this show. Talking about shows that we look forward to. I look forward to the show when it's airing every week. I love it. I love all the performances. I think probably one of the best villains on television. The protagonist with Bob Odenkirk is so complex. Where he's such a douchebag in Breaking Bad.
Completely
and
different
slime
person.
ball, and you just like hate him. But Slippin' Jimmy and Better Call Saul, like, yeah, he still sucks, but like you can kind of feel for him a little bit the way he's written, and
you root for him.
Yeah, you root for him a little bit.
Behind that character.
You feel he's a tragic character because you know where he's going to end up, and you know his life isn't going to turn out well.
We don't know exactly where he's going to end up. We still have to see the fate of Gene.
That's true. Although we know it probably involves a Cinnabon. But yeah, I mean, I love this show. It wasn't hard for me at all to pick my number one, just because, like I said, to me, this is the best show on television right now.
You didn't even shout out probably the best performance of the year with Rhea Seehorn.
I didn't, and I'm glad you pointed that out because she is the best performance. I mean, her Kim Wexler is. I mean, all the people that talked about how bad Vince Gilligan was with creating female characters, his Kim Wexler, like, I don't know if he learned from Breaking Bad or what it was, but his Kim Wexler like showed that he can do a female character and do her really well.
Yeah,
she's outstanding. Rhea Seehorn probably has a lot to do with that as well. It's not just the writing, but yeah, she's fantastic. The fact that she hasn't won an Emmy is fucking criminal.
Yeah. I remember when season 1 aired, being like, this. I had never seen her before in anything, and just the way she played Kim was like really interesting to me. She was always so like, I don't know, like super like laid back but uptight like at the same time. And just the way the characters evolved over the years has just been fascinating to watch. And the fact that she's like one of the only characters who we don't know what's going to happen to her makes her that much more interesting. And just the way that her character is progressing, like the way season 5 ended is just wild.
I'm scared.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're all scared. But it's called Better Call Saul, but I think Kim's just as big of a main character as Saul Goodman is.
Yeah, I mean, she's as much as a co-lead as Mike's a co-lead. Which again, Jonathan Banks, another great performance. It says a lot that I would say Giancarlo Esposito is like the 6th best person on the show. When good too. Nacho's fantastic. But like if you like on Breaking Bad, I would put Gus as like one of like easily the top 3 characters on the entire show. But on this, he's below every other like main character, I would say. Just because their stories are all just so interesting and perform so well. Like you mentioned, the best villain on television, Tony Dalton as Lalo Salamanca. He's like a top villain in the whole Breaking Bad universe. Like it's like Gus and him at this point. So my God, they leveled up so hard with season 5. Like that second half of the show every Monday night, I was so pumped for. And the fact that it was like right at the beginning of the pandemic, when like we were all home all the time and looking for something like good to watch on TV, it couldn't have aired at like a better time for us as like fans.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's a great show. If for people that haven't watched it, I mean, stop listening to us. I'm just kidding. Don't stop listening to us. After you're done listening to us, go watch.
Us again and just watch Better Call Saul.
Yeah, watch
Just
seasons.
start watching Better Call
Watch
Saul.
1 to 4 on Netflix. 5 will be out
Corey,
eventually.
Go watch Better Call Saul right now.
Yeah,
We're not ending the
Corey
podcast until
sleeps.
you're done.
I just
It's
I
the
sign
longest
off.
podcast ever.
We're gonna have you. We're gonna live watch Corey watching Better Call Saul.
Just to ensure he actually does it.
I don't want to go to jail for DCMA.
All right. And then as for our favorite episodes of the year, Corey, yours was from Mando.
Yeah, to go back to Mandalorian, just the finale of this season was probably my favorite thing that I saw this year.
Oh, Corey, you watched 4 shows this year. Mando wasn't on your top 3.
Yeah, as a whole, the entire season. I know.
Okay. Before we were like, did you only watch 3? But no, you watched 4.
I watched 4. Yeah. But yeah, so the finale was just awesome to me from beginning to end. It was definitely the most fun that I had with probably any show this year, any experience on television. So we already glossed over it. So I just.
Did we talk about that?
I don't think so.
Pretty sure that was
The episode?
We talked about talking about it, but we didn't actually talk about it, I believe.
Have we ever talked about the Mando?
I think so.
Nope.
Yeah, we'll do it next episode.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Cool. Mandalorian.
It's a good show.
The Rescue. Quality episode. I mean, you had Luke Skywalker. Shocker that it's on somebody's list of the best episodes of the year. You basically got a blockbuster movie type thing on television as an episode of TV. So cool. Doug?
I picked the episode The Bagman from Better Call Saul again. Easily one of my favorite episodes of Better Call Saul. Maybe of TV shows, just in all time. I love this episode. Vince Gilligan directed it. It's in the desert, which is one of my favorite things about Breaking Bad, was all the desert scenes. You get a lot of desert cinematography. And it almost felt like a indirect sequel to one of my favorite Breaking Bad episodes, the Fly episode. In that it's a lot of character. It's a lot of characters interacting with each other. Not a lot, although in the beginning and the end of the episode, that stuff happens. But in that middle area, it's just kind of Jonathan Banks, Bob Odenkirk talking and trying to survive. And so I just love that episode.
It's funny that you mentioned the Fly episode. It reminds me more of the 4 Days Out episode when they were doing their cook out in the desert, and then the RV breaks down. And they're stuck in the desert. But yes, the fact that it's like a two-hander for the entire hour, for the most part, is similar to Fly.
Yeah, and I think probably The Fly to me was just such an episode that you either loved it or you hated it. In my opinion, there wasn't a lot that happens in the episode. It's a lot of characters. You're just finding out more of the characters and seeing how these two characters interact. I really enjoyed it, and I thought there was some pretty funny moments in the episode too that I got a kick out of, and so that's another one where I know they submitted it for the Emmys, and I wish that episode got some love because I thought it was awesome. I thought Vince Gilligan killed it. So yeah, Bagman.
Yeah, if I was going to choose my favorite episode of Better Call Saul from the season, I probably would have went with Bad Choice Road, which was the episode after Bagman, where it dealt with that was the one with the scene with Lalo, Kim, and Jimmy. That one. Yeah. Because I think that was the best scene of any scene on either Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad. That 10-minute like
Yeah, for
confrontation.
sure.
But yeah, I mean,
That would be number 2 for me.
Bagman's fantastic.
I think Bagman like gets me more on like just as an episode as a whole, and like the dialogue and the cinematography. Being out in the desert again, I just like love the desert shots. So that does something for me too. But yeah, I mean, that's amazing too. I mean, that's. I was thinking about that episode when I picked Bagman because that's such a great, one of the better confrontations in TV.
Mm-hmm.
Is that conversation between the three of them? You don't know what's going to happen, which is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got Kim, who's like a complete wild card at that point. I thought that could have been the end of it right there.
Yeah, there's something really awesome about that. Like going just like really quickly going back to Mandalorian, and when we see Luke like just like obliterating robots, like nothing's gonna happen to Luke. Like we know where Luke winds up. There's something cool about like that Kim character in Better Call Saul, where like we don't know, and Lalo too. Like we don't know what happens to those characters because we don't know where their story goes. So something cool about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just closing up Better Call Saul. Where do you guys have this ranking with Breaking Bad? Because I honestly think I'm more of a fan of Better Call Saul.
Yeah,
it's getting there for me.
It's getting there as well. It is so fucking good. It has no right to be this good. It's going to come down to how they end it.
I can't even imagine that.
Well, it's really hard to root for Walter White.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that I'm really rooting for Jimmy is... I think that...
And knowing that it's not going to work out for him is...
Yeah.
It's wild.
Even though I'm still really hoping he gets away. He gets that fairy tale ending just that. But I don't think we're going to get that with Saul.
Well, we have 13 episodes left. Yeah, Gene, Cinnabon Gene, and hopefully Kim.
Yes, and Nacho too. To
and Nacho, yeah.
I really hope he gets out.
Yeah, and I hope Lalo's story ends in a satisfying way as well.
Yeah, I hope Lalo goes out in like a blaze of gunfire and like just the coolest scene on earth. Like I hate him, but I want him to have that moment because he does such a good job with that character. He deserves. I think they'll do something like that because they seem to know what they're.
Exactly, and I believe Vince Gilligan had said, like in his opinion, that this ends in a better way than Breaking Bad. So that's a ballsy statement.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that it's just as good it's mind blowing.
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it. Hopefully, in the fall of 21, we'll get season 6.
So I have time.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be it'll be at least.
It'll be on my best of 2021.
Actually,
we'll have still not
won't
seen
even
any
be.
of it.
I'm thinking it's not gonna be till 2022 because I believe it's gonna be a 6-month shoot and it doesn't start till March.
Yikes!
So by the time they're done editing and stuff, it'll probably be like a January, February of 2022.
Breaks my damn heart.
That sucks.
Yeah, but we have something to look forward to in 2022.
If we make it.
Exactly.
Saying, man.
I really hope I make it to the end of the Breaking Bad universe.
I'm gonna have to dodge some buses and stuff to make it to 2022. I think.
All right, JP. You alluded to this earlier.
Yeah. So my best episode of the year doesn't come from my number 1 TV show of the year. It comes from number 2, which is What We Do in the Shadows, the episode On the Run, which Mark Hamill is now in 2 of our best episodes of 2020.
Wow. That's true.
Because this is the episode in which Mark Hamill plays a vampire that's come to collect a debt from Laszlo.
Jim the Vampire.
Jim the Vampire.
Curses.
And instead of paying him, Laszlo goes into hiding in Pennsylvania, because it sounds the most like Transylvania, and kills a bar owner, takes over and becomes Jackie Daytona, the everyday man who wears jeans and has a toothpick in his mouth.
The perfect disguise.
the perfect disguise, and it's just such an absurd episode where he helps a small, what is it, high school
Volleyball team,
volleyball
right?
team,
championship.
girls volleyball team.
Yeah, and all this crazy stuff happens, and then it's only been 2 weeks, and no one seems to fucking notice that he's gone.
Yeah, it's probably the funniest episode of TV this year.
Doesn't
It
Nandor
really
say
is.
he's like, you've only been gone for like a week or something like that?
What do you want from me?
Yeah.
I said welcome back.
And then the fact that no one notices he's the same person, he takes the toothpick out, and fucking Mark Hamill finds out that it's him at the very end. Is just, it's so good. And then Jim the Vampire gets to coach the girls volleyball team at the very end as well.
So I assume he'll probably return in an episode cameo at some point. I would hope.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I honestly wouldn't be sad if he never.
Based
came
on the end credits, he very well could show up again because he found out the truth about the big mouth Billy Bass.
It's such a good episode.
When I was trying to get my brother to watch the show, and he's like, all right, let's watch an episode. He goes, don't start with the first one. He's like, pick the episode that you think is like the episode that, like the gateway type of episode of the show. So this was the one I showed him. And he naturally went into the show after that.
It's a good way
It's
to.
definitely either this one or the Vampire Council episode from season.
Yeah. I could say, yeah, I would agree.
Those would be the two that I go with if I had to get something to the show. Yeah, this was a masterpiece for this year. And
Yes, that was a great pick. I mean, yeah, so far all three of the ones you guys had are fantastic. All right, and then the one that I had was the special episode of Euphoria that aired this year. Trouble Don't Always Last. So it was the only show of the episode this year. They filmed it during the pandemic, and it was basically just an hour scene of two characters talking in a diner. Zendaya, her character just relapses, and she's just talking to her AA sponsor, played by Coleman Domingo, who was just in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as well. Yeah, it really works as a standalone thing. You don't have to watch any episode previously to appreciate the show. It's actually incredibly different from the rest of the show, just because the show kind of has this manic, like wild energy, and this one just has two characters just talking about their problems and how they're dealing with addiction and things like that. But yeah, it's two of the best dramatic performances of the year. Zendaya is absolutely incredible, and Coleman Domingo, who's a very, very minor character during season 1, which is the only full season that's aired so far. He was phenomenal in it. So, and there's going to be a second special episode in the beginning of 2021 before maybe season 2 will air. Hopefully at some point this year or in 2021, but I doubt it. But yeah, it was my number one just based on these two performances and how it just bucked the rest of the show and just did its own thing and worked as a standalone piece. Because if it was a movie, I would be easily give it 5 stars.
It's an Amazon show?
HBO.
Never heard of it.
All roads lead to HBO.
What'd you say, Doug?
I said all roads lead to HBO.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the show is a high school drama show. It's dealing with the fucked up world of Gen Z kids and all drugs and sex and all things like that. It's incredibly dark. But Zendaya is the lead character. And she won the Emmy for Best Actress this year for the show, for season 1. So yeah, that was my top episode of the year. But the three that you guys had were all fantastic, and would all be high on my list as well. So yeah, that's TV. We will cover movies in 2 weeks to kick off 2021, and yeah. For now, let's close out the 20th century with the best movies or the memorable movies of 1999 that we have in our yearly film series. Corey?
So the movie that I went with is Audition. It's from one of the probably most acclaimed Japanese directors of the past, probably 15 years. He's done a bunch of movies, Takeshi Miike. This movie is not for the faint of heart at all. It's definitely on I haven't seen it in a very long time, but it's definitely along the lines of like a torture porn type of movie. The plot follows a father that he's a widower, and his son tells him to start looking, for basically a new girlfriend. He finds this girl who is basically a murderer. She tortures her boyfriends, makes them marry. She makes them basically like they get married first, and then she tortures the fuck out of them. It's insane. But all of his movies they have the special effects and like the gore effects are really, in the way that they're shot, are really unique. And this came out definitely before a lot of those, Eli Roth's Hostel movies and a lot of those, type of movies came out in like the early 2000s. So, this was definitely one that I wanted to choose because it's a very unique and crazy ride. A lot of crazy things happen in it that I've never seen in any other movie. Probably would never see it in another movie again. So, not as crazy as Human Centipede for sure, but it's on those lines. So,
Yeah, I've heard whenever I see lists of like horror movies, this is always on there.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. It's been a long time since I've seen it, so I don't know. I remember being like really insane, but compared to a lot of the stuff that we probably have gotten over the past, 15, 20 years since this, I don't know how bad it is. But yeah, I mean, if you like, it's definitely a good horror movie for sure. It's very unique in a lot of ways. So I recommend it in that if you like those types of movies.
Sounds horrifying.
Read the synopsis, and it actually is very, very disturbing.
I mean, you put it like right below Human Centipede, which isn't a good sign.
Yeah. Unique story, though. Human Centipede didn't really have a story. This actually has a very unique plot behind it. It's based on a book. I know that.
Human Centipede had a story. Just wasn't like
I wanted to see what happens when food goes through three digestive systems.
Yeah.
And then many more in the sequels.
Or would you sign that Apple contract without reading it? Gotta read that terms of use.
Oh my god.
Eats the cuttlefish.
Oh, South Park.
All right. Doug?
Yeah, so my 1999 movie was The Matrix, which I felt wanted to be more unique with my choice, but that's a movie when someone says 1999, I think of.
Yeah.
I think my first DVD experience was The Matrix. Getting to see a movie.
It was the 4K of the 20th.
Yeah, getting to see a movie in high definition at home was quite the experience. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things that came out of that movie, like culturally, for 1999. sunglasses, the cell phone where you like hit the button and it like slides out.
The leather jackets.
The leather jackets. Like we were just being marketed to the entire time of the Matrix. But outside of all that stuff, it's a good movie. Lots of kung fu influences, which is cool with like a lot of the fighting choreography. Renaissance for Mr. Keanu Reeves comes back into the spotlight. We hadn't seen him in a little while. Lawrence Fishburne's great in the movie. They took a lot of philosophy and kung fu and they combined it together and made it an exciting action movie, which was super cool. Visually, it's pretty neat. Unfortunately, they're to blame for us getting stuck with bullet time in every fucking movie after that for the next couple of years, which I could have done without.
Still parodying this movie in movies now?
I don't think so, but it took a really long time to get beyond.
We'll see what they introduce in The Matrix 4 that then gets parodied for the next 5 years after that.
Yeah, for sure. Ends in kind of like a Back to the Future type ending where Neo can like fly and is like invincible because he's the one and he can like bend the Matrix to his will, where they're like, fuck, how do we deal with this? Like in Back to the Future, where it's like, oh, we got this flying
franchise
car. Yeah, so it's kind of, they end it in a way where it's like, fuck, how do we deal with this? And the answer is they don't.
Movie again.
Yeah, they poorly deal with it by creating 2 other movies that aren't nearly as good as the first one. But trying to erase those other 2 movies and think about what the Wachowski brothers before they became sisters created.
Are they both sisters now?
They're both sisters now, yeah.
Yeah, only one of them is involved with the new Matrix.
Oh.
I mean, that movie's so damn good. I mean, that's definitely their best movie.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
It still holds up.
It's been parodied so much that I feel like people look at it like a little less. And then the sequels, the fact that they were not good, definitely hurt the legacy of the first one. Those 2 things. But I mean, if you go back and watch the first one, it is absolutely fantastic.
It holds up. Yeah, I've watched it a few times, and it definitely holds up. It's a fun movie. But yeah, it's the parodies definitely. It's hard not to think of the parodies when you see scenes from the movie, kind of like Scream and Scary Movie, where they just kind of like.
Yeah, just like we talked about last month.
Yeah, you can't help think about it, but still, like 1999, that's my movie.
Do you think they had any idea where they were going to go after the first movie?
No
idea.
You wouldn't end it with Neo being like basically God at the end of the first one. If you knew you wanted to make a trilogy.
This movie they did not have the foresight for that. They thought it was going to be a one and done type of thing. Probably wasn't going to make a lot of money.
It should not have been the massive success that it was. I mean, it was just an R-rated action movie.
Yeah, it just hit at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, it completely stole the thunder from Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
That and The Mummy both kind of like were surprise hits in advance of Phantom Menace in May of '99.
So it wasn't Jar Jar's fault. It was The Matrix.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Jar Jar
better
as well.
The video game or the sequels?
Probably the video game, because at least you got to play it. Yeah. It was fun to play.
I watched the sequels recently. They're not bad. Not that bad, at least. I actually like Revolutions more than Reloaded. But
I feel like we're just less hard on things over time. Like, we're way nicer to the prequels than we were like 10 years ago.
I just looking at it through such a different lens. I mean, when we saw them, there was no way anything was going to live up to that hype. Nothing. I mean, they're not good.
And at this point, we've been telling ourselves for a decade that they're shit. So, like, our expectations are so low that they're going to be. It's easy to surpass our expectations.
But the hype was huge, and you live with the hype as a kid in middle school, high school, and then you wait to get your ticket. You go in there. It was
Yeah, we all saw that like that Thursday that it opened.
Yeah,
How many
and then
times
to release like those movies, it's just like
Yeah. How many times I watched the Matrix Reloaded trailer when I was a kid?
I watched that a lot too.
Remember when you used to have to go to the QuickTime
Oh
website
man, going to the
Yeah.
Apple Quick
and to
I
watch
miss
the
those
new
days.
trailers? I used to have that on fucking repeat. That and like Phantom Menace, just over
Lord of
and
the
over
Rings
again.
was the one that I like watched like a million times on
Yeah.
QuickTime.
I feel like we watched them in.
That was like the
time,
HD
too.
trailer. That was
Yeah.
like the only way to watch things in high def.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And was it really? I don't know. I don't think it was. It might have been 720p. I don't even know if it was at that point. It was just
no chance.
yeah. It just
No,
was. It
was
looked
like
so
probably in,
nice.
like the fours.
But
was like
any
480
cool
probably.
news would always be like Inglorious HD
Yeah.
on QuickTime.
Yeah, it was just barely HD.
Yeah.
On your CRT big ass monitor.
That's like not even
The
HD.
monitor's this big, the
Yeah.
screen's this big, it's this deep.
I think I'm gonna watch the
Yeah.
Two Towers trailer after this now.
Oh,
There you
shit.
go.
On QuickTime.
Make sure to watch it in 4K.
No, got to go back to my roots.
720p in a window or 480 in the
It was definitely
What-
480.
what's
There's
that-
no way it was at 720 at that
forg-
point.
JP, you probably know this, but I forgot the name of the website where you can look at old websites from back in the day. It's like time capsule
Oh,
type
yeah,
of thing.
it's-
Wayback Machine.
Wayback
Yeah.
Machine. I wonder
I've
if
used
Quick.
that as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh,
This,
okay.
The last time we.
Oh, I wonder if QuickTime, if you can look at like old movie trailers on that or through that.
Maybe.
It's possible because they save everything. Everything. Check it out, Murph. Wayback Machine.
I am.
Like, yeah. That'd be fun.
All right. How about you, JP? What do you got?
I had another science fiction movie. Far less serious, though. I had Galaxy Quest, which was
Yeah.
a spoof of Star Trek that had no right to be good, and it's one of my favorite movies from around this time. It's pure comedic gold. Tim Allen playing the William Shatner character, Sigourney Weaver playing that, the generic female science fiction character that she just does such a good job poking fun at. Sam Rockwell's in the movie. Alan Rickman. So good. I love this movie. And I grew up and my dad was a huge Star Trek fan. And I think he made me watch this movie way more times than I wanted to watch it. This was a movie that I think he watched every single weekend for like an entire year. He loves this movie, and he can quote it in its entirety. And by secondhand viewing, I probably can too. Man, it captures everything that's funny about Star Trek that's not meant to be funny in Star Trek, and just does such a great job. Justin Long's in this movie too. He plays the little nerd on Earth that they get in contact with. It's so good. I know Doug's a big fan of this movie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. The cast is, like you said, the cast is awesome. I'm glad we got 2 Tim Allen movies in this episode of With
Yeah.
Brief Film.
If only we were talking about Toy Story 2, because it was 1999. We could have had a trifecta.
It's been a Tim
Ooh.
Allen month for us.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman's awesome
So
in
good.
this movie, as like the the like Spock like character. Yeah, it's definitely a fun movie. If you're a big Star Trek fan, it's definitely a must watch because like you said, it's the perfect parody.
Puts you in that world.
Yeah, it puts you in that world, and it even like not even just the like.
And it's not like a
Movie
parody
world.
making fun of. Like, it's very loving. to the
No,
source
yeah, it's a very
material.
loving parody. And it's not even of the show, but it's of like the fandom too,
Yep.
which is cool. Yeah, no, you could definitely tell everyone involved lovingly parodied the source material, and so it's super cool. It's definitely a great movie. Probably one of the better parodies
Yeah.
of sci-fi. So No, definitely completely agree, JP. It's a great 1999 movie. One I haven't revisited in a while and would love to probably tune in. Do you know if it's on any of the streamers?
I feel like I've
I
seen it
don't.
somewhere.
It probably is.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I've seen it on Netflix before. I just didn't know if it was still on Netflix or not.
Yeah, I remember watching it within the last couple years, but it might have just been on TV.
Looks like it's on Hulu and HBO Max.
Hey,
Yeah,
HBO
yeah.
Max.
Yeah, it is on. Yep.
That's perfect. The new sponsor of Live Breathe Film.
Hell
Yeah, they don't know it, but
And TBS, the TBS app.
Okay. we might have a better.
I'll get on downloading that.
the TBS app. Oh my god.
Yeah, in addition to being just a great parody, it's also a really cool idea. The fact that the actors get sucked up into an actual space battle.
yeah, it's a clever concept.
Yeah.
And that aliens would think that like it's real. Like they're
Yeah, 'cause
like
they have no
legit.
concept of lying, so they have no idea what entertainment is. It's a great idea for a movie, and it's one that I'll continue to watch probably forever because it's a great watch. Yeah, Galaxy Quest, 1999. Great movie.
All right, and then so we were in middle school at the time in 1999. So I kind of went with I was torn between two movies that I watched a hell of a lot in middle school and since then, which were American Pie and 10 Things I Hate About You. Ultimately, I went with 10 Things I Hate About You for the breakout performances from Julie Stiles and Heath Ledger in the film. Rest in peace. Both absolutely kill it in the movie. And not just them. I mean, you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, David Krumholtz, Gabrielle Union, Alex Mack from Secret World of Alex Mack. Yeah, exactly. And Larry Miller as Julia Stiles and Larsa Oleynik's dad just steals the show every time he's in it.
So good.
But yeah, it's a adaptation of a William Shakespeare play, The Taming of the Shrew, and it kind of just puts that into the 1990s and does way better than it has any right to be. Still holds up, is very cutting, satirical, funny. And like I said, just some outstanding performances. It was what put both Julie Stiles and Heath Ledger on the map. I believe Joseph Gordon-Levitt was probably already in Third Rock from the Sun at that point, and he already done like Angels in the Outfield and things like that. But those two absolutely crush it as like they're as complete opposites in this like romantic teen comedy.
See, I always thought it was just a very serious adaptation of Not Another Teen Movie, which obviously came first.
Yeah, another one that you think of the parody when looking back at the movie. I mean, when these Heath Ledger's serenading Julia Stiles to the "It's Too Good to Be True" song, and then you look into Not Another Teen Movie and Chris Evans is serenading Janie Briggs to Janie's Got a Gun.
Got Rick from 24 in the background.
Just a fantastic parody. But yeah, I mean, both 10 Things I Hate About You and American Pie are lower stakes 1999 movies.
Yeah.
It like I mentioned last week, it's one of the best years in film history. We could easily do an entire episode of all the classic films from it, but unfortunately, we do not have time for that now. Next week, we will cover a bunch of other movies that we did not get to cover in the 1990s when we do our decade in review, the franchises, standout movies, etc. from probably the decade that made us all become the film fans that we are now.
Yeah.
But I think that probably wraps it up for today. So thank you again for listening. Please like, follow, and subscribe, as always. Since this will be posted on Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas. Hope you all have a fantastic holiday, no matter what you celebrate. Tough year, but we're almost out of 2020. So that's something to be grateful about.
Yeah.
But as always, this has been Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph at Live Breathe Film. We'll be back next week, and we hope you are too. Thanks a lot.